I want you to understand that these 5 lines we'll discuss are not mere affirmations of positive thinking exercises. They are, in truth, the very seeds of your reality, the blueprints of your experience, the commands you give to infinity manifest in your world. Let us begin with the first line. I am the creator of my reality. My dear friends, these words hold within them the very essence of your divine nature. When you speak this line each morning, you are acknowledging your true identity as a creative force in this universe. You are not a mere spectator in the grand theater of life, but the playwright, the director, and the lead actor all at once. You see, the world you experience is not external to you. It is a projection of your consciousness, a reflection of your inner state. When you declare, I am the creator of my reality, you are stepping into your God-given power. Recognize that every circumstance, every experience, every encounter in your life is a creation of your consciousness. This declaration is not an act of ego, but a humble acceptance of your divine responsibility. It is an acknowledgement that you are not a victim of circumstances, but the author of your life story. When you truly embody this truth, you cease to blame others or external conditions for your experiences. Instead, you recognize that you hold the pen that writes your destiny. Imagine, if you will, a master artist standing before a blank canvas. The artist does not wait for inspiration to strike from outside, does not hope for someone else to come and paint the masterpiece. No, the artist knows that the vision, the creativity, the power to bring beauty into being resides within. This is you, my dear friends, standing before the canvas of your life each morning. When you speak this line, feel the truth of it resonating in every cell of your being. Feel the power, the responsibility, infinite potential that comes with being the creator of your reality. Let this knowing infuse your entire day, guiding your thoughts, your words, your actions. And as you embrace this truth, you will find that your perception of the world begins to shift. No longer will you see problems, but opportunities for creation. No longer will you feel powerless in the face of challenges, but excited by the chance to exercise your divine creativity. This understanding leads us seamlessly to our second line. My imagination is the workshop where I shape my future. The imagination. It is perhaps the most misunderstood and underutilized power we possess. Many dismiss it as mere fantasy, idle dreaming. But I tell you, my dear friends, your imagination in which your reality is created. You see, in the realm of imagination, all things are possible. There are no limitations, no boundaries, no rules that cannot be bent or broken. When you imagine, you are tapping into the infinite field of all possibilities, selecting the reality you wish to experience. When you speak this line each morning, you are acknowledging the creative power of your imagination. You are recognizing that the seeds of your future are planted in the fertile soil of your mind. What you imagine with feeling, with conviction, becomes the blueprint for your experience. Consider for a moment the great inventors and visionaries throughout history. Every innovation, every leap forward in human progress began as an idea, a vision in someone's imagination. The Wright brothers imagined human flight before they built their first airplane. Thomas Edison imagined a world illuminated by electric light before he created the light bulb. In the same way, you must imagine your desired reality before you experience it in the physical world. But remember, imagination is not mere visualization. It is not enough to see your desired reality in your mind's eye. You must feel it, live it, experience it in your imagination as if it were already your present reality. For your subconscious mind, the faithful servant that brings your imaginings into physical form, does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you declare, my imagination is the workshop where I shape my future, you are committing to consciously and deliberately using this divine gift. You are promising yourself that you will no longer allow your imagination to run wild with fears and worries, but will instead harness it to create the future you desire. Throughout your day, after speaking this line, in the morning, catch yourself whenever your imagination wanders to unwanted scenarios. Gently but firmly bring it back to imagining your desired reality. Remember, every moment spent imagining what you don't want is a moment not spent creating what you do want. This practice of conscious imagination naturally flows into our third line, what I assume I become. My dear friends, this line encapsulates a fundamental law of consciousness. Your assumptions, those deep-seated beliefs about yourself in the world, are not mere thoughts. They are the very substance from which your reality is formed. You see, your assumptions act as filters through which you perceive and interact with the world. They color your experiences, shape your reactions, and ultimately determine the outcomes in your life. When you assume something to be true, you unconsciously align your thoughts, feelings, and actions to make it so. This is not a superficial process of positive thinking or wishful hoping. It is a profound shift in your sense of being. When you truly assume a state, you are essentially saying to the universe, this is who I am. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect law, must respond by reflecting that state back to you in your physical reality. Consider for a moment how differently you would move through the world if you assumed yourself to be abundantly wealthy compared to if you assumed yourself to be perpetually struggling. How would you carry yourself? How would you speak? What decisions would you make? You see, the assumption itself begins to shape your reality long before any external circumstances change. When you speak this line each morning, you are reminding yourself of the power of your assumptions. You are committing to consciously choose the assumptions that serve your highest good, that align with your desired reality. But remember, assumptions are not surface-level affirmations. They are deep, unshakable towings. So truly assume a state, you must feel it in the very core of your being. You must live from that state, embody it fully, even before there's any external evidence to support it. Throughout your day, after declaring this truth in the morning, pay attention to your habitual assumptions. Notice how they shape your perceptions and experiences. When you catch yourself assuming something that doesn't serve you, pause. Take a deep breath, then consciously choose a new assumption that aligns with your desired reality. This practice of conscious assumption leads us beautifully to our fourth line, my inner conversations shape my outer world. The inner conversations, those ceaseless dialogues we have with ourselves, often without even realizing it. My dear friends, these inner conversations are perhaps the most powerful tool you have for shaping your reality. You see, your inner conversations are not mere idle chatter. They are the very instructions you give to your subconscious mind, and through it to the entire universe. What you consistently tell yourself in the privacy of your own mind becomes your reality in the outer world. When you declare, my inner conversations shape my outer world, you are acknowledging the creative power of your self-talk. You are recognizing that the words you speak yourself are seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious, seeds that will inevitably grow into the circumstances of your life. Consider for a moment how your life might be different if your inner conversations were always supportive, always encouraging, always aligned with your highest vision for yourself. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? How would you interact with others? You see, the shift begins within long before any external circumstances change. But remember, this is not about forced positivity or denying your current experiences. It's about consciously choosing inner conversations that align with your desired reality, even in the face of contradictory circumstances. When you speak this line each morning, you are committing to becoming aware of your inner dialogues. You are promising yourself that you will no longer allow negative, limiting self-talk to go unchallenged. Instead, you will consciously cultivate inner conversations that support your growth, your success, your joy. Throughout your day, after affirming this truth in the morning, pay attention to your inner conversations. Notice the tone, the content, the underlying assumptions. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, pause. Take a deep breath. Then consciously choose a new inner dialogue that aligns with your highest vision for yourself. This practice of conscious inner conversation flows seamlessly into our fifth and final line. I am already that which I desire to be. My dear friends, this line is perhaps the most powerful. the most transformative of all. For in these words lies the key to instant manifestation, to the immediate realization of your desires. You see, most people live in a state of wanting, of striving, of reaching for a future state of being. They say, when I have this, then I'll be happy. Or once I achieve that, then I'll feel successful. But in doing so, they perpetuate a state of lack, of not having, of not being. But I tell you, there's no future state of being. There is only now. And in this eternal now, you are already everything you desire to be. Your true self, your divine nature, is already perfect, whole and complete. It lacks nothing. It needs nothing. It is the fullness of all possibility. When you declare, I am already that which I desire to be, you are aligning with this truth. You are stepping out of the illusion of becoming and into the reality of being. You are claiming your divine inheritance here and now. This is not about denying your circumstances or pretending to be something you're not. It's about recognizing that the outer world is a reflection of your inner state of being. When you embody the state of already being what you desire, the outer world must, by law, rearrange itself to match this inner reality. Consider for a moment how differently you would move through your day if you truly felt that you were already living your ideal life, already embodying your highest self. How would you carry yourself? How would you speak? How would you interact with others? You see, the shift in your outer world begins with this shift in your inner state of being. When you speak this line each morning, feel the truth of it in every fiber of your being. Feel the relief, the joy, the satisfaction of already being everything you desire to be. Let this feeling infuse your entire day, calling your perceptions, your actions, your interactions. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself slipping into a state of wanting or striving, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself, I am already that which I desire to be. Feel the truth of this statement. Embody it fully. Now, my dear friends, as we reflect on these 5 powerful lines, I want you to understand something crucial. These are not mere words to be recited mechanically each morning. They are invocations of your true nature, declarations of your divine identity. When spoken with understanding, with feeling, with conviction, they have the power to completely transform your life. You see, these 5 lines address the fundamental aspects of your creative power, your identity as a creator, the role of your imagination, the power of your assumptions, the impact of your inner conversations, and the truth of your divine nature. When you align all these aspects of yourself with your desired reality, you become an unstoppable force of creation. But remember, the power lies not in the words themselves, but in the state of being they evoke within you. It's not enough to simply say these lines. You must feel them, live them, embody them. You must let them permeate every aspect of your being until they become your new normal, your new default state of consciousness. As you begin this practice of speaking these 5 lines to yourself every morning, you may find that at first they feel strange or untrue. Your old patterns of thinking, your habitual state of consciousness, may resist this new way of being. This is natural. Do not fight it. Simply observe it, acknowledge it, and gently but firmly choose again to align with these higher truths. You see, my dear friends, you are in the process of reprogramming your subconscious mind, of rewriting the script of your life. And like any new skill, this takes patience and persistence. But I assure you, rewards are beyond anything you can currently imagine. As you consistently speak these lines each morning, you will begin to notice subtle shifts in your perception, in your emotions, in your experiences. You may find yourself reacting differently to challenges, seeing opportunities where before you saw only obstacles. You may notice synchronicities and coincidences occurring more frequently in your life. These are all signs that your inner world is shifting, that your new state of consciousness is beginning to manifest in your outer reality. Celebrate these lines no matter how small they may seem, for they are proof that your practice is working, that you are indeed shaping your reality through your consciousness. But remember, this is not about achieving some future state of perfection. It's about fully embracing and expressing who you truly are right here, right now. It's about aligning with your divine nature and allowing it to express itself freely through you. As you continue this practice day after day, week after week, you will find that these 5 lines become more than just a morning ritual. They will become the foundation of your entire way of being. You will find yourself naturally thinking, speaking, and acting from this higher state of consciousness throughout your day. And as you do, you will begin to witness miracles in your life. Not external miracles that defy the laws of nature, but the true miracles of consciousness, the effortless alignment of your outer world with your inner state of being. You will watch it in awe as circumstances rearrange themselves to match your new vibration. As opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere. As your deepest desires manifest with ease and grace. But even more than these outer changes, you will experience a profound inner transformation. You will feel a deep sense of peace, of alignment, of connection with your true self. You will know beyond any doubt that you are indeed the creator of your reality, that your imagination is the workshop where you shape your future, that what you assume you become, that your inner conversations shape your outer world, and that you are already that which you desire to be. This, my dear friends, is the true purpose of this practice. It is not about manipulating external circumstances or achieving specific goals. It is about awakening to your true nature, about fully embodying your divine self, about living from the state of already being everything you desire to be. As you go forth from this place, I urge you to commit to this practice with all your heart. Make it the foundation of your days, the North Star that guides your journey through life. Speak these 5 lines to yourself each morning, not as a mechanical recitation, but as a heartfelt declaration of your true identity. And remember, every time you speak these lines, you are not just affirming a truth, you are creating your reality. You are shaping your future. You are calling forth your highest self to express itself in this world. So speak these lines with conviction, with feeling, with the full power of your being. Let them resonate in every cell of your body, in every corner of your consciousness. Let them become the very essence of who you are. For as you do, you will find that your life begins to unfold with a beauty, a grace, a magnificence that you never thought possible. You will discover depths of creativity, of love, of joy within yourself that you never knew existed. You will step into the fullness of your divine nature and become a living testament to the creative power of consciousness. And notice, as you transform your own life through this practice, you are contributing to the transformation of the entire world. For we are all one, all expressions of the same divine consciousness. Your awakening, your alignment with your true self, ripples out and touches all of creation. So go forth, my dear friends, and speak these 5 lines to yourself every free morning. Speak them with love, with conviction, with unwavering faith. Speak them as if your life depends on it, because in truth, it does. For in these words lies the key to your freedom, your fulfillment, your divine destiny. Remember always, you are the creator of your reality. Your imagination is the workshop where you shape your future. What you assume, you become. Your inner conversations shape your outer world, and you are already that which you desire to be. Now go and let your light shine brightly in this world. For you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond imagination, and capable of more than you could ever dream. Speak these truths to yourself each morning, and watch as your life transforms into a living masterpiece of divine expression. I speak to you tonight about a principle so profound, yet so simple, that many of you may dismiss it at first. But I tell you with absolute conviction, the most important focus of your life must be yourself. Not the self that the world knows, but the self that is your true identity, your divine nature, your I am. When I say focus on yourself, I am not speaking of the outer self that you present to the world. I speak of that deeper self, that infinite being within you, that is God. For you must understand this fundamental truth. Your consciousness, your I amness is God. This is not blasphemy. This is the deepest truth of Scripture. hidden in plain sight for those with eyes to see. Consider the words, "Be still, and know that I am God." These words are not speaking of a distant deity in some far-off heaven. They speak of your own wonderful human imagination, your own consciousness. When you truly focus on yourself, you are focusing on God, for you and the Father are one. Many of you come to me asking about manifestation, about creating your desires in the external world. But I tell you now, all manifestation begins with self-focus, with the recognition of who you really are. For how can you manifest anything if you do not first understand that you are the operant power? You are the God of your universe. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. When you focus on yourself, your true self, you are focusing on the only creative power in existence. All things come from within. There is no other source. The world you see now is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every condition in your life is yourself pushed out. Do you understand the magnitude of this truth? Everything you see, everything you experience is yourself made visible. Therefore, to change anything in your world, you must first change yourself. Not the outer self, but your conception of yourself, your inner knowing. When I speak of focusing on yourself, I am speaking of assuming the state of consciousness of the person you wish to be. This is not about changing your actions first. Actions follow consciousness. First, you must focus on being the person who would naturally have, do, or be what you desire. Let me give you the perfect example from Scripture. When David faced Goliath, he didn't focus on the giant before him. He focused on himself as the victor. He dwelt in the consciousness of victory before a single stone was thrown. This is the secret that most of the world has missed. David focused on himself as the winner, not on the problem before him. You see, most people have it backwards. They focus on what they want to change in their external world. They focus on their problems, their limitations, their current circumstances. But I tell you now, this is like trying to change your reflection in the mirror by arguing with the mirror. You must change yourself and the reflection will change automatically. When I tell you to focus on yourself, I am telling you to focus on the state you wish to occupy. If you want wealth, focus on yourself as wealthy. If you want love, focus on yourself as loved. If you want success, focus on yourself as successful. But, and this is crucial, you must do this from the inside out. Consider this every night before you sleep. Where does your focus go? Most of you focus on the events of the day, the problems you face, the things you lack. But I tell you, this is the exact opposite of what you should do. Instead, focus on yourself in the state of your wish fulfilled. Feel yourself to be the person who has what you desire. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we focus on others? Let me be very clear, there are no others. What you see as others are aspects of yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you truly focus on yourself, your highest self, your divine self, you are focusing on all of humanity. For we are all one consciousness, individualized into seemingly separate beings. The great secret that the mystics and prophets have tried to share throughout the ages is this: your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, absolutely everything, springs from your consciousness. Therefore, focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is the most profound act of creation you can engage in. Let me share with you a technique I have often used and taught. When you go into the silence of your own being, focus on yourself as having already achieved your desire. Do not think of how it will happen. Do not think of the process. Think only of the end, of the person you would be when your desire is fulfilled. If you wish to be wealthy, do not focus on making money. Focus on yourself as someone who is already wealthy. Feel the naturalness of wealth. Feel how you would feel if wealth were your natural state. Feel the security, the freedom, the peace that comes with wealth. This is focusing on yourself in the proper way. If you seek love, do not focus on finding someone to love you. Focus on yourself as someone who is deeply loved and cherished. Feel how you would feel if perfect love were your natural state. Feel the warmth, the security, the joy of being completely loved. This is focusing on yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. Some of you might be wondering, but what about action? Don't we need to do something? Yes, action will come, but it will come naturally and effortlessly when you are properly focused on yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. The actions will flow from your new state of consciousness, not from your current state of lack. Remember the story of Moses parting the Red Sea. He didn't focus on the impossibility before him. He didn't focus on the problem. He focused on himself as one who had the power to lead his people to safety. His focus on himself as the deliverer created the miracle. The sea parted not because of what he did, but because of who he knew himself to be. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. It is not about ego. It is not about selfishness. It is about recognizing and claiming your divine nature. It is about understanding that you are the operant power in your world. Everything you see, everything you experience is beauty. When you walk through your day, remember this truth. The world you see is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet is yourself pushed out. Every circumstance you encounter is yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change anything, focus on yourself, not the outer self, but the inner self, the consciousness from which all things spring. I want you to grasp this principle so deeply that it becomes the foundation of your entire life. Your consciousness is the only reality. Your I amness is God. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, your true self, you are focusing on the creative power of the universe. Do not make the mistake of thinking that focusing on yourself means becoming self-centered in the egotistical sense. This is not about the personality, the outer self. This is about recognizing and claiming your divine nature. This is about understanding that you are the operant power in your world. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you focus on becomes your reality. If you focus on yourself as limited, as lacking, as unable, that becomes your reality. But if you focus on yourself as the embodiment of success, of abundance, of love, that becomes your reality. The choice is yours. And you make this choice through your focus. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. While in prison, he didn't focus on his circumstances. He focused on himself as the interpreter of dreams, as one who had a divine gift. His focus on himself in this elevated state led him from the prison to the palace. This is the power of proper self-focus. Many of you spend your days focusing on what's wrong in your life, what's missing, what needs to be fixed. But I tell you now, this is the opposite of what you should do. Instead, focus on yourself as the person who has what you desire. Feel yourself to be that person. Live from that state. The world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you focus on yourself properly, you are focusing on the cause, not the effect. You are focusing on the root, not the fruit. You are focusing on the creator, not the creation. When you go to sleep tonight, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Feel how that person would feel. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness. This is not imagination in the fantasy sense. This is using your imagination as the creative power it truly is. Remember, your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, your body, your circumstances, your relationships, your possessions, these are all effects. They are all yourself pushed out. Therefore, to change any effect, you must change the cause, and the cause is always your consciousness, your concept of yourself. Let me be very clear about this. When I tell you to focus on yourself, I am telling you to focus on the state of consciousness you wish to occupy. If you want health, focus on yourself as healthy. If you want wealth, focus on yourself as wealthy. If you want love, focus on yourself as loved. But do this from the inside out, not the outside in. Many of you try to change things from the outside in. You try to change your circumstances first, hoping that this will change how you feel about yourself. But this is backwards. You must change yourself first, your concept of yourself, your inner knowing, and then the outer world will conform to this new self-concept. Think of it this way. Everything you see in your world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, if you don't like what you see, don't try to change the outer picture. Change yourself, your concept of yourself, and the outer picture must change to match your new self-concept. This is why focusing on yourself is so crucial. Not the self that the world knows, but the self that is your true identity. Focus on yourself as the person who already has what you desire. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Live from that state. Let me share with you another principle that I have tested and proven. The state you occupy is the state that manifests. If you occupy the state of lack, lack manifests. If you occupy the state of abundance, abundance manifests. If you occupy the state of love, love manifests. This is law. Therefore, when you focus on yourself in the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, focus on yourself as successful. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Many of you make the mistake of trying to change things in your outer world while maintaining the same concept of yourself. But I tell you now, this is impossible. The outer world can only reflect your concept of yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Think of yourself as a radio broadcasting station. Whatever frequency you broadcast, whatever state you occupy, that is what manifests in your world. Therefore, to change your world, change your broadcast. Change your concept of yourself. When you go into meditation or prayer, do not focus on what you want to change in your outer world. Focus on yourself as the person who already has what you desire. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness. Remember, the feeling is the secret. Not the intellectual understanding, not the affirmations, not the visualizations, although these can be helpful tools. The feeling of being the person who already has what you desire is the key. Let me give you a practical application of this principle. If you want more money in your life, do not focus on getting money. Focus on yourself as someone who naturally has money. Feel how you would feel if money were your natural state. Feel the security, the freedom, the peace that comes with having money. If you want better relationships, do not focus on finding the right person or fixing your current relationships. Focus on yourself as someone who naturally experiences wonderful relationships. Feel how you would feel if perfect relationships were your natural state. The world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, whatever you focus on in yourself becomes your reality. If you focus on lack, lack manifests. If you focus on abundance, abundance manifests. If you focus on love, love manifests. This is law. Many of you spend your time trying to manipulate the outer world, trying to make things happen, trying to control circumstances and people. But I tell you now, this is unnecessary. Focus on yourself. Your concept of yourself, and the outer world must conform to this self-concept. Remember, there is only one cause in all creation, and that cause is consciousness. Your consciousness, your I amness. Therefore, when you focus on yourself properly, you are focusing on the only creative power in existence. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you accept as real is the state that manifests. If you accept yourself as limited, limitation manifests. If you accept yourself as abundant, abundance manifests. If you accept yourself as love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on accepting the state you wish to manifest. Accept it as real. Accept it as natural. Accept it as your true state. This acceptance is crucial. Many of you struggle with accepting the state you desire because your senses tell you otherwise. But I tell you now, your senses only show you what has been manifested from past states of consciousness. They cannot show you what is possible. I think of it this way: your senses can only show you what has been. They cannot show you what can be. Therefore, do not let your senses dictate your concept of yourself. Choose the concept you wish to embody and focus on that. When you go to sleep tonight, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the naturalness of being that person. Accept this as your true state. Let this acceptance saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Remember, the outer world can only reflect your concept of yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Therefore, if you want to change your outer world, change your concept of yourself. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. Many of you make the mistake of trying to change things in your outer world while maintaining the same concept of yourself. But I tell you now, this is like trying to change your reflection in the mirror by arguing with the mirror. You must change yourself, and the reflection will change automatically. Let me share with you another principle that I have tested and proven. The state you persist in is the state that manifests. If you persist in the state of lack, lack manifests. If you persist in the state of abundance, abundance manifests. If you persist in the state of love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, persist in the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, persist in seeing yourself as successful. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling become so familiar that it becomes your dominant state. Remember, persistence is crucial. You cannot occupy a state for a moment and expect it to manifest. You must persist in the state until it becomes your natural state, your dominant state. Many of you give up too soon. You occupy a state for a day or two, see no results, and return to your old state. But I tell you now, persistence is key. Persist in the state you wish to manifest, regardless of appearances. Think of it this way: when you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the law of growth. In the same way, when you plant a new concept of yourself, trust the law of manifestation. Persist in the state, regardless of appearances. Let me share with you another profound truth. The state you believe in is the state that manifests. If you believe in limitation, limitation manifests. If you believe in abundance, abundance manifests. If you believe in love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on believing in the state you wish to manifest. Believe in it completely. Believe in it naturally. Believe in it your true state. This belief is crucial. Many of you struggle with believing in the state you desire because your past experiences tell you otherwise. But I tell you now, your past experiences only show you what has been manifested from past beliefs. They cannot show you what is possible with new beliefs. Think of it this way. Your past experiences can only show you what has been. They cannot show you what can be. Therefore, do not let your past experiences dictate your beliefs about yourself. Choose the beliefs you wish to embody and focus on those. When you go about your day, I want you to focus on yourself as the person you wish to be. Believe in this version of yourself completely. Accept it as your true state. Let this belief saturate your consciousness until it becomes your dominant state. Remember, the outer world can only reflect your beliefs about yourself. It cannot be otherwise. Therefore, if you want to change your outer world, change your beliefs about yourself. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself. Let me share with you one final principle. The state you live from is the state that manifests. If you live from lack, lack manifests. If you live from abundance, abundance manifests. If you live from love, love manifests. Therefore, when you focus on yourself, focus on living from the state you wish to manifest. If you want success, live from the state of success. Feel how you would feel if success were your natural state. Let this feeling guide your thoughts, your words, your actions. Remember, living from a state is different from trying to achieve a state. When you live from a state, you are that state now. When you try to achieve a state, you push it into the future. Many of you make the mistake of putting your desired state into the future. You say, I will be successful, I will be wealthy, I will be loved. But I tell you now, this keeps your desire forever. The art of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not merely possible. It is the natural state of your divine being. For you are not limited to manifesting one desire at a time, just as God does not create one thing at a time, but sustains and creates countless realities in every eternal moment. Let me tell you that your consciousness, your wonderful human imagination, is not bound by the limitations of time and space that appear so real to your mortal senses. Your imagination, which is God Himself operating in you, can hold multiple states with perfect clarity and bring them all into your physical experience with mathematical precision. Now let us understand this principle deeply. When you enter your room at night, you do not light one corner and wait for it to brighten before lighting another. You simply switch on the light, and the entire room is illuminated instantly. This is how your consciousness works with multiple manifestations. You need not complete one before beginning another. They all exist then or do in the wonderful human imagination. I tell you, time is merely a device of your mortal mind. In the realm of consciousness, all things exist simultaneously. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires is no more difficult than manifesting a single desire. For in consciousness, there is no competition, no waiting line, no priority queue. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested countless times. When you desire to manifest multiple things, you must first understand that they all exist now live in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Consider this when you dream at night. Your dream contains multiple elements, people, places, events, all existing simultaneously. Your consciousness creates and sustains all these elements without effort or strain. This same power operates in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. Here's a technique I want to share with you tonight. Instead of thinking of your desires as separate entities competing for manifestation, see them as different aspects of your already existing perfect life. Just as a diamond has many facets, yet remains one diamond, your desired state has many aspects, yet remains one state, the state of fulfillment. You must learn to live from the end. See yourself already in possession of all that you desire. Make your multiple desires a single composite state. If you desire financial abundance, perfect health, and harmonious relationships simultaneously, do not separate them in your consciousness. Create a single scene that implies the fulfillment of all these desires. Let me give you an example. Instead of creating separate scenes for each desire, construct one scene where you are discussing with a friend how wonderful your life is, implying the fulfillment of all your desires. In this conversation, you naturally mention your flourishing business, your perfect health, and your harmonious relationships as already existing facts. This single scene, when entered into with feeling and conviction, will set in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your multiple desires. Remember, my dear friends, the outside world is dead. It has no power to create or to prevent. It is purely a shadow world reflecting what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Therefore, do not be concerned with the how or the when of your manifestations. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled for all your desires. Now, here's a vital point that many miss. When manifesting multiple desires, you must not strain or effort. Strain implies that what you want is absent, distant, or difficult to achieve. Instead, relax into the assumption that all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having all that you desire. I want you to understand this deeply. The feeling is the secret. The feeling of naturalness is the key to manifesting multiple desires simultaneously. When something is natural to you, it requires no effort to maintain. You don't wake up each morning wondering if gravity will work today. Its operation is natural to you. This is how your fulfilled desire should feel, natural, normal, and already yours. Let me tell you a principle that has never failed. Before you sleep tonight, review your day as though all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of having all that you desire. Make this feeling so real that as you drift into sleep, your physical world seems like a shadow and your imagined state feels more real. You see, my dear friends, manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about working harder or doing more. It's about understanding the true nature of consciousness and its relationship to your physical world. Your consciousness is the only reality. All else is derived from it. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that there is no limit to what you can manifest simultaneously. Just as a mirror reflects everything placed before it without strain or selection, your physical world must reflect whatever state you have assumed in consciousness. Now, let me share with you another profound truth. Your multiple desires, though they may seem separate in the physical world, are united in consciousness by a single feeling, the feeling of fulfillment. This is why I emphasize feeling rather than visualization. The feeling of fulfillment, when achieved, automatically brings with it all that is necessary for its expression in your physical world. Remember, my dear friends, revision is a powerful tool when manifesting multiple desires. If during your day events seem to contradict your desired state, revise them immediately in your imagination. See them conforming perfectly to your desires. This is not denial, this is the proper use of the law. You must persist in this practice until your desired state becomes your dominant feeling. Just as a musician must practice until the piece becomes second nature, you must persist in your assumption until it becomes your natural state of being. Let me tell you something that many find hard to accept. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. What appears to take time in the physical world is merely the unfolding of what has already been accomplished in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, do not think in terms of time or sequence. Your wonderful human imagination knows no limitations. It can handle multiple desires with the same ease as it handles one. Just as your eyes can perceive multiple objects simultaneously without strain, your consciousness can hold multiple fulfilled desires without effort. Here is a practical application before you sleep tonight. Construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of all your desires. Make it a short, simple scene. Perhaps you are sharing with a friend how everything in your life has fallen perfectly into place. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of this state. Fall asleep in this feeling. Remember, my dear friends, your consciousness is God operating in you as you. Therefore, it has the power to fulfill all your desires simultaneously. There is no need for prioritization or scheduling in consciousness. All is no-do. When doubts arise, and they will arise, for that is the nature of the mortal mind, remember this truth. Your physical senses show you only shadows of past assumptions. Your true power lies in your ability to assume a new state now, regardless of what your senses dictate. Let me share with you another principle. Your multiple desires are not separate entities requiring separate efforts. They are different aspects of your expanded consciousness. When you truly understand this, you will see that manifesting multiple desires is as natural as breathing. Consider this: when you breathe, you don't consciously coordinate the multiple processes involved. Your body knows exactly what to do. Similarly, when you assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, the infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to bring about their manifestation. Now, here is a vital point about manifesting multiple desires. Do not concern yourself with the bridge of incidents, the series of events that will lead to your manifestation. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence within you will arrange all the necessary details. Remember, my dear friends, your physical world is merely your servant, faithfully reflecting your consciousness assumptions. Therefore, maintain your assumption of fulfillment regardless of appearances. The physical world has no choice but to conform to your conscious assumptions. Let me emphasize this point. When manifesting multiple desires, do not make the mistake of trying to figure out how they will all come about. This is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Here is another practical application. Throughout your day, whenever you think of any of your desires, see them as already fulfilled. Make this your habitual attitude. Let the feeling of fulfillment be your constant companion. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen. You are assuming that it has already happened. This is the crucial difference that many fail to grasp. You are not working towards something, you are living from the end. When manifesting multiple desires, maintain this attitude. Isn't it wonderful that everything is working out perfectly in my life? This simple attitude, maintained with feeling, will do more for your manifestation than all the planning and striving in the world. Let me tell you something about the nature of manifestation. Everything in your physical world is a manifestation of consciousness. Therefore, when you change your consciousness, everything in your world must change to conform to your new assumption. This is why, my dear friends, I emphasize the importance of living from the end. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make things happen. You are simply allowing what is already complete in consciousness to unfold in your physical experience. Remember this principle: your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is a shadow of your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on maintaining the consciousness of fulfillment. Here is another practical point. Do not discuss your desires or your practice of this law with those who would doubt or discourage you. Your manifestations are sacred, should be kept within the sanctuary of your own consciousness until they appear in your physical world. Let me share with you another truth about manifesting multiple desires. The feeling of fulfillment is your compass. If you are properly assuming the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, You will experience a deep sense of satisfaction and peace, regardless of external circumstances. Remember, my dear friends, the law is simple but exact. It works with mathematical precision. Whatever you assume is true in consciousness must be expressed in your physical world. This is why you can manifest multiple desires simultaneously, because in consciousness all is possible and no law. Your physical senses may argue against this truth. They may show you evidence that seems to contradict your desires. But remember, your senses only show you the effects of past assumptions. Your power lies in your ability to assume a new state now. Let me give you another practical application. When you lie down to sleep tonight, feel as though you are lying down in the state of your wishes fulfilled. Feel the satisfaction, the completeness, the joy of having all that you desire. This feeling, impressed upon your subconscious mind during sleep, will work wonders. Remember this vital point: your subconscious mind does not argue. It simply accepts what you feel to be true and works faithfully to express it in your physical world. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on impressing upon your subconscious mind the feeling of complete fulfillment. Let me share with you another vital aspect of this law. When you dream at night, do you find your dream limited to one scene, one desire, or one experience? No. Your dream consciousness effortlessly creates entire worlds, complete with multiple characters, scenarios, and experiences, all happening simultaneously. This is the same power that you possess in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. I tell you with complete conviction that your consciousness is like an infinite ocean, capable of holding countless drops of desires without becoming full or strained. Just as the ocean doesn't struggle to contain its many waves, your consciousness doesn't struggle to hold multiple manifestations. Now let me share with you a deeper principle that many overlook. When you truly understand that all of time exists, now you will realize that there is no such thing as sequence in consciousness. Your tomorrow, your next year, your perfect life, they all exist now in the eternal moment of consciousness. Consider this: when you enter a movie theater, the entire film exists on the reel, though you experience it scene by scene. Similarly, all your desires exist and all in consciousness, though they may appear to manifest sequentially in your physical experience. This is why I tell you that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not only possible but natural. Here is another profound truth: your consciousness is not divided into compartments. It doesn't maintain separate folders for your different desires. All your desires exist in a unified state of fulfillment in consciousness. This is why focusing on the feeling of complete fulfillment naturally brings about the manifestation of all your desires. Let me give you a deeper understanding of this principle. When you say "I am," you are expressing the fullness of your being. This I am consciousness contains within it all that you could ever desire. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on the feeling of "I am," the feeling of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of your conscious assumptions. Just as a shadow cannot choose what to reflect, your physical world cannot choose which of your assumptions to manifest. It must reflect all of them faithfully. Here is another practical application of this law. Throughout your day, whenever you think of your desires, do not see them as separate goals to be achieved. See them as different aspects of your already perfect life. Feel the wholeness, the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Let me share with you a deeper truth about the nature of consciousness. Your consciousness is not bound by the limitations of physical space. Just as a single seed contains within it the pattern for an entire forest, your consciousness contains within it all possible states of fulfillment. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about dividing your attention or energy. It's about expanding your consciousness to embrace the fullness of your desired state. Consider this: when you look at a beautiful garden, you don't see each flower separately. You experience the beauty of the whole garden as one unified experience. This is how you should hold your multiple desires in consciousness, as one unified state of fulfillment. Let me tell you something about the nature of assumption. When you assume a state, You are not creating something new. You are simply choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, you are simply choosing to experience the state where all these desires are already fulfilled. Remember this crucial point. Your physical senses may tell you that your desires are separate, that they must be achieved one at a time. But I tell you, this is merely the illusion of time and space. In consciousness, all is one, all is now. Here is another practical application when you lie down to sleep tonight. Instead of reviewing your desires as separate items on a list, feel the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Feel the naturalness, the ease, the grace of living in this state. Let me share with you another profound truth about manifestation. The feeling of fulfillment is not divided. You don't feel partially fulfilled or fulfilled in stages. When you truly capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it is a complete, whole feeling that encompasses all your desires. Consider this. When you are truly happy, you don't analyze the different aspects of your happiness. You simply feel happy as a complete state of being. This is how you should approach manifesting multiple desires as one complete state of fulfillment. Remember, my dear friends, the law operates with perfect precision. It doesn't distinguish between big desires and small desires, between one desire and many desires. It simply responds to your conscious assumptions with mathematical precision. Let me emphasize this point. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, every circumstance, every condition, every event in your physical world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you change your consciousness to one of complete fulfillment, your entire world must change to reflect this new assumption. Here is another vital truth. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is your most precious gift. It is the feeling that sets in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your desires. Therefore, nurture this feeling, protect it, maintain it regardless of appearances. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. This is why manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about effort or struggle. It's about choosing to experience the state where all your desires are already fulfilled. Let me share with you another principle. The state of fulfillment is not a distant goal to be achieved. It is a present choice to be made. Right now, in this eternal moment, you can choose to experience the state where all your desires are fulfilled. Consider this. When you dream at night, you don't create the dream piece by piece. The entire dream experience appears fully formed in your consciousness. This is how manifestation works. The entire state of fulfillment exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to step into it. Remember this truth. Your physical world has no choice but to reflect your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when you assume the state of complete fulfillment, all circumstances, all conditions, all events must rearrange themselves to reflect this assumption. For this is the law, my dear friends. It is exact, it is precise, and it never fails. Test it in your own experience. Prove its truth through application. For in the end, it is not what you believe about the law that matters. It is what you prove through experience. And so I tell you again, go forth and apply this law. Live from the state of complete fulfillment. Maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled regardless of appearances. For as surely as night follows day, your physical world must conform to your conscious assumptions. For this is the promise and the law, as within, so without. As above, so below. What you assume in consciousness must manifest in your physical experience. This is the way, this is the truth, and this is the life. Remember, my dear friends, you are the operant power. You are the consciousness in which all things exist. Therefore, choose wisely, assume lovingly, and live constantly in the state of your wishes fulfilled. For this is the secret of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously, to live from the end, to live in the state of complete fulfillment nano-day. And in this eternal now, all things are possible, all desires are fulfilled, and all manifestation is complete. This is the truth I share with you tonight. This is the law that never fails. This is the promise that is always kept. In closing, my dear friends, remember that you are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the only reality. Your physical world is simply responding to what you have assumed to be true. Therefore, assume wisely, assume lovingly, and above all, assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled. I shall share with you 6 words that contain within them the absolute power to transform your world and attract unlimited abundance into your life. These are not mere words, they are the very seeds of creation, the living power of God in expression. The 6 words are, I am the source of all abundance. Now you might be thinking these are simple words, but I tell you with absolute conviction that within these 6 words lies the secret of all creation, all manifestation, all abundance. For you see, these words contain the 2 most powerful words in all of Scripture. I am, followed by the recognition of your true nature as the source of all abundance. Let me share with you why these 6 words hold such tremendous power. First, you must understand that your I am is God. This is not blasphemy. This is the deepest truth of Scripture. When Moses asked God his name, God replied, I am that I am. This I am is your true identity, your divine nature, your real self. When you speak these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, you are not making an affirmation. You are making a recognition. You are acknowledging your true identity as the creator of your world. For you see, abundance doesn't come to you. It comes through you. You are its source. Many of you come to me saying, Neville, I've tried affirmations before, and they don't work. But I tell you now, these 6 words are not an affirmation. They are a statement of absolute truth. They are a recognition of who you really are. And when spoken with understanding and feeling, they must produce results. Let me explain why these particular 6 words are so powerful. The words I am contain within them all the creative power in the universe. Whatever follows your I am, you become. Therefore, when you say, I am the source of all abundance, you are literally becoming the source of all abundance in your experience. Consider this. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. Every dollar in your bank account, every opportunity that comes your way, every abundant circumstance in your life, all of it is yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you declare, I am the source of all abundance, you are acknowledging this fundamental truth. Now, here's what's fascinating about these 6 words. They must be spoken with feeling, not with emotion, but with the feeling of naturalness. When you speak these words, you must feel that they are true. Not that they will be true someday, but that they are true right now. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he wasn't making an affirmation. He was stating a fact. He was acknowledging his true identity. And this is exactly how you must speak these 6 words. Many of you might be thinking, but Neville, how can I be the source of all abundance when my current circumstances show lack? Let me tell you something. Your circumstances are only showing you your past beliefs pushed out. They have no power over your I am unless you give them that power. When you speak these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, you are literally recreating your world. For your world must conform to your I am statements. It has no choice. It is law. Let me share with you how to properly use these 6 words. First, you must speak them to yourself immediately upon waking. Before you engage with the world, before you check your phone, before you begin your day, declare with complete conviction, I am the source of all abundance. But and this is crucial, you must feel the truth of these words as you speak them. Feel what it feels like to be the source of all abundance. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the reality of it. For feeling is the secret. And without the feeling, the words are empty. Throughout your day, whenever you encounter any appearance of lack or limitation, immediately speak these 6 words to yourself. Not as a denial of the appearance, but as a reminder of your true identity. For you see, lack and limitation have no power in the presence of these 6 words when properly understood and felt. Consider this: every wealthy person you admire, every successful person you respect, every abundant circumstance you desire, all of it is yourself pushed out. Therefore, when you declare, I am the source of all abundance, you are acknowledging your true relationship to all abundance. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. What you acknowledge yourself to be, you become. Therefore, when you acknowledge yourself as the source of all abundance by speaking these 6 words, you must become that in your experience. Many of you make the mistake of looking for abundance outside yourself. You look to your job, but I tell you now, abundance can only come through you because you are its source. These 6 words acknowledge this truth. When you go to sleep at night, let these 6 words be the last thing in your consciousness. Feel what it feels like to be the source of all abundance. Let this feeling saturate your consciousness as you drift off to sleep. For the feeling you fall asleep with tends to clothe itself in form. Let me share with you another principle. Your consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, when you fill your consciousness with these 6 words and their true meaning, you are literally creating an abundant reality. Many of you may be wondering how long it will take to see results from speaking these 6 words. Let me tell you, the results are instant in consciousness. The outer manifestation will follow according to the naturalness of the way. But the change in consciousness is immediate when these words are properly understood and felt. Consider this: every time you speak these 6 words with understanding and feeling, you are literally restructuring your entire universe. For your universe is your consciousness pushed out, and these words, when properly understood, completely transform your consciousness. Let me share with you how to maintain the consciousness of these 6 words throughout your day. Whenever you handle money, whenever you engage in business, whenever you think about finances, immediately remind yourself, I am the source of all abundance. But remember, these words must never become mechanical. They must always be spoken with understanding and feeling, for it is the understanding and feeling that gives them power, not the mere repetition of the words. Many of you may be thinking, but never, what about my current bills, my current debts, my current financial obligations? Let me tell you something: when you truly know yourself as the source of abundance, these things are transformed, for they must conform to your new consciousness. Let me share with you another principle: what you consciously assume, you must become. Therefore, when you consciously assume the truth of these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, you must become that in your experience. Consider this: every wealthy person you've ever known, every successful person you've ever met, every abundant circumstance you've ever witnessed, all of it came from consciousness. And these 6 words, when properly understood and felt, create the consciousness of unlimited abundance. Let me share with you how to handle doubt when it arises, and it will arise. When doubt appears in your mind, do not fight it. Instead, gently but firmly remind yourself, I am the source of all abundance. Feel the truth of these words. Feel the reality of them. Feel the naturalness of them. Many of you make the mistake of trying to convince yourself of these words. But I tell you now, you do not need to convince yourself of what is already true. You only need to recognize it, acknowledge it, and feel it. When you speak these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, you are not trying to make something true. You are acknowledging what is already true. For you see, you are already the source of all abundance. You just haven't recognized it yet. Let me share with you another principle: your outer world must conform to your inner conversations. Therefore, when you make these 6 words your constant inner conversation, your outer world must become abundant. Consider this: every dollar that exists in the world, every opportunity that presents itself, every abundant circumstance that appears, all of it is consciousness made visible. And these 6 words, when properly understood and felt, create the consciousness of unlimited abundance. Many of you may be wondering what to do if you don't see immediate results from speaking these 6 words. Let me tell you, continue speaking them with understanding and feeling. For the law is absolute. What you consciously assume, you must become. Let me share with you how to make these 6 words more powerful with each passing day. Every time you speak them, deepen your understanding of their meaning. Feel more deeply the truth they contain. Let them become more and more natural to you. Consider this: every time you speak these 6 words with understanding and feeling, you are literally recreating your entire financial world. For your financial world is nothing more than your consciousness of abundance pushed out. Let me share with you another principle. What you feel real is real in effect. Therefore, when you make these 6 words feel real to you, they must become real in your experience. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, these are just words. Let me tell you something, there is no such thing as just words. Words are the instruments of creation. And these 6 words, when properly understood and felt, are the most powerful creative instrument you can use. Let me share with you how to use these 6 words in specific situations. When you receive a bill, speak these words. When you check your bank balance, speak these words. When you think about your financial future, speak these words. But remember, you must always speak them with understanding and feeling, for it is the understanding and feeling that gives them power, not the mere repetition of the words. Consider this: every abundant circumstance you desire already exists in consciousness. And these 6 words, when properly understood and felt, align you with that consciousness. Let me share with you another principle. What you declare yourself to be, you must become. Therefore, when you declare, I am the source of all abundance, you must become that in your experience. Many of you may be wondering how these 6 words can possibly transform your financial world. Let me tell you, they transform your consciousness, and your consciousness transforms your world. Let me share with you how to make these 6 words your constant companion. Write them where you can see them. Speak them whenever you think of them. Feel their truth whenever you remember them. Consider this: every time you speak these 6 words with understanding and feeling, you are literally rearranging the entire universe according to your new consciousness of abundance. Let me share with you another principle. Your consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, when you fill your consciousness with these 6 words and their meaning, you are literally creating an abundant reality. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, what about the economy? What about the market conditions? What about the external circumstances? Let me tell you something, none of these things have power over your consciousness unless you give them that power. Let me share with you how to maintain the power of these 6 words even in the face of contradictory circumstances. Remember, circumstances are only showing you your past consciousness pushed out. Your new consciousness, created by these 6 words, will create new circumstances. Consider this: every time you speak these 6 words with understanding and feeling, you are literally recreating your entire relationship with abundance. Let me share with you another principle. What you claim yourself to be, you must become. Therefore, when you claim, I am the source of all abundance, you must become that in your experience. And that, my dear friends, is the power of these 6 words. Not because they are magical, but because they acknowledge the truth of who you really are. Not because they are affirmations, but because they are recognition. Remember this: you are the source of all abundance. These 6 words only acknowledge this truth. Therefore, speak them daily, speak them with understanding, speak them with feeling, and watch your world transform. So what will you do with these 6 words? Will you continue to seek abundance outside yourself? Or will you acknowledge yourself as its source by speaking these words with understanding and feeling? The choice is yours, but the law is absolute. What you consciously assume, you must become. Therefore, assume the truth of these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, and watch your world transform. Let me share with you an even deeper truth about these 6 words. I am the source of all abundance. They contain within them the complete understanding of the 3 great secrets of manifestation: identification, externalization, and persistence. First, there is identification. When you speak these words, you are identifying yourself with the very source of abundance, not with the effects of abundance, but with its cause. This is crucial, my dear friends, for most people identify themselves with the effects: their current bank balance, their current circumstances, their current limitations. But these 6 words identify you with the cause of all abundance. Consider what this means. Every time you speak these words with understanding, you are literally shifting your identity from one who receives abundance to one who creates abundance. This is not a small shift. It is a complete transformation of consciousness. Let me share with you how this identification works at the deepest level. When you say I am, you are using the divine name. And when you follow it with the source of all abundance, you are completing that divine name with your highest understanding of your true nature. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville is just presumptuous. Let me tell you something that my teacher Abdullah taught me years ago. He said, Neville, you cannot presume what you already are. You can only acknowledge it or deny it. Let me share with you the second great secret contained in these 6 words: externalization. You see, when you declare I am the source of all abundance, you are not just making an internal statement. You are setting in motion the law of externalization, whereby your consciousness must project itself into your world. Think about this carefully, my dear friends. Every single object in your world, every circumstance, every dollar in your bank account, all of it is your consciousness externalized. Therefore, when you fill your consciousness with these 6 words, properly understood and felt, you are literally recreating your entire external world. Many of you struggle with this concept because you think externalization takes time. But I tell you now, it is instantaneous in consciousness. The outer manifestation appears to take time only because of our attachment to what we call natural law. But I tell you, the only law is consciousness. Consider the story of the fig tree in Scripture. When Jesus spoke to it, it appeared unchanged in the moment. But by the next day, it had withered from the roots. This is how externalization works. It begins instantly in visible realm of consciousness and then works its way into visible manifestation. Let me share with you how this principle of externalization works with these 6 words. When you say I am the source of all abundance, you are not trying to change anything in the outer world. You are establishing a new truth in consciousness. And once established in consciousness, it must externalize itself. This is where most people make a crucial mistake. They speak words trying to change their outer world directly. But I tell you now, you cannot change the outer world directly. You can only change consciousness, and consciousness will change your world. Let me give you a deeper understanding of how this works. When you speak these 6 words, I am the source of all abundance, you are literally planting a seed in the garden of your mind. And just as a physical seed contains within it everything necessary to produce its fruit, these 6 words contain within them everything necessary to produce abundance. But, and this is crucial, you must allow this seed to take root in consciousness. You must water it with understanding and nourish it with feeling. For feeling, my dear friends, is the fertilizer of manifestation. Many of you come to me asking, Neville, how long must I speak these words before I see results? And I tell you now, the results are instant in consciousness. The moment you speak these words with true understanding and genuine feeling, the transformation begins. Let me share with you the third great secret contained in these 6 words: persistence. Now, when I speak of persistence, I am not speaking of mechanical repetition. I am speaking of persistent identification with the truth these words contain. Consider this. Every great oak tree was once a tiny acorn. But that acorn didn't become an oak tree by wishing or hoping or even by positive thinking. It became an oak tree by persistently being what it was, the source of an oak tree. This is exactly how these 6 words work. When you say, I am the source of all abundance, you are not trying to become something you are not. You are persistently identifying with what you already are. Let me share with you something profound about persistence. Most people think persistence means repeating words over and over. But true persistence is about maintaining a state of consciousness. When you speak these 6 words with understanding and feeling, you are entering a state of consciousness. Your task is to persist in that state. Many of you may be wondering how to persist in this state when your outer world shows no immediate change. Let me tell you something, your outer world has no choice but to change when you persist in the proper state of consciousness. It is law. Consider the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. For 6 days, nothing appeared to change, but they persisted in their consciousness of victory. On the 7th day, the walls fell. This is how persistence works. You maintain the consciousness until the outer world conforms to it. Let me share with you a deeper principle about these 6 words. They are not just words. They are a complete statement of truth about your relationship with abundance. When you say, I am the source of all abundance, you are acknowledging your true position in the universe. Think about this carefully. Most people see themselves as recipients of abundance. They think abundance comes to them from some external source. But these 6 words completely reverse that perspective. They acknowledge you as the source. That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. Not because it's simple, but because it's powerful. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, these 6 words will transform your world when properly understood and felt. Every single time. And isn't that worth thinking about? The one thing you must stop doing, the very thing that pushes success away from you, is living in the consciousness of lack. Now let me tell you what I mean by this, for it is of paramount importance. Every moment of your day, you are either living in the consciousness of lack or the consciousness of abundance. There is no middle ground, no neutral state of being. When you declare, I want success, you are actually affirming its absence. When you say, I need more money, you are dwelling in the consciousness of not having enough. When you proclaim, I wish I was successful, you are living in a state of wanting rather than having. Do you see the subtle yet crucial difference? Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. The outside world is nothing more than the objectification of your inner assumptions. Whatever you are experiencing now, be it lack or abundance, is the direct result of your accepted beliefs about yourself and the world. Tonight, I will show you how to move from the consciousness of lack to the consciousness of fulfillment, from the state of wanting to the state of having, from the condition of seeking to the condition of being. Consider this. When you say, I want success, you are placing success outside of yourself, making it something to be attained rather than something to be expressed. This is the fundamental error that keeps pushing success away from you. Success is not something to be pursued. It is a consciousness to be assumed. Let me tell you a story from my own experience. Many years ago, I knew a man who constantly spoke about wanting to be successful. He would say, when I become successful, I will. And then list all the things he would do. Year after year, success eluded him. Why? Because he was living in the consciousness of wanting success rather than being successful. Then one day he heard what I'm telling you now. He realized that as long as he lived in the consciousness of wanting success, he would continue to experience the want of success. That very night, he made a fundamental shift in his consciousness. Instead of saying, I want success, he began to live from the consciousness of being successful. He would fall asleep each night feeling the naturalness of being successful. He would walk through his day experiencing the feeling of being successful. He made this his new normal state of consciousness. Now pay careful attention to what I'm about to tell you, for this is the crux of the matter. Success is not a future event. It is a present state of consciousness. The feeling of being successful now is the secret of experiencing success in what you call the future. When you live in the consciousness of lack, saying things like, I need more money, I want better relationships, I wish I had more opportunities, you are actually reinforcing the very state that keeps these things from you. You are dwelling in the consciousness of absence, and the law of consciousness dictates that what you assume, you must express. Let me show you how to make this fundamental shift in consciousness. First, you must understand that your imagination is not a tool for daydreaming about what you want. It is the very substance of reality itself. When I speak of imagination, I am speaking of your consciousness, your I amness. The Bible tells us, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not mere poetry, it is a practical instruction in the art of consciousness transformation. When you continue to live in the consciousness of lack, you are using your imagination, your creative power, to perpetuate the very condition you wish to change. Consider this profound truth. Everything in your world is pushing against you with the force of your own assumption. If you assume lack, the whole world will prove you right. If you assume abundance, the same world will reorganize itself to prove that assumption. Now, let me give you a practical technique to stop living in the consciousness of lack. Tonight, when you go to bed, instead of reviewing your day of wanting and seeking success, you will enter into a new state of consciousness. You will feel as though you are already successful. But remember, this is not mere positive thinking or affirmation. This is a complete assumption of the state of consciousness of being successful. Feel its naturalness. Feel how it would feel to be the person you desire to be. Feel the satisfaction, the contentment, the gratitude that would be yours if you were already expressing success. Many of you are thinking, but Neville, how can I feel successful when my current reality shows me the opposite? This is where most people remain trapped in the consciousness of lack. They allow their current circumstances to dictate their inner state. Let me tell you something remarkable. Your present circumstances are nothing more than the harvest of your previous assumptions. They have no power to determine your future unless you give them that power by accepting them as final. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone who dared to assume a state that their senses denied. Every invention, every discovery, every advancement started in the imagination of someone who refused to accept current circumstances as final. The one thing you must stop doing is allowing your present facts to determine your inner conversations. Your inner conversations are your actual state of consciousness. When you say, I can't afford it, it's too difficult, I'm not qualified enough, you are having inner conversations that perpetuate the state of lack. Instead, you must begin new inner conversations based on the assumption of already being what you desire to be. When you walk, you must walk with the feeling of being successful. When you talk, you must talk from the consciousness of being successful. When you work, you must work from the state of being successful. Let me share with you a profound secret. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Whatever you are feeling as true about yourself right now is creating your future experiences. If you are feeling the frustration of wanting success, you are creating more experiences of wanting success. Now, let us delve deeper into the practical application of this principle. When I tell you to live in the consciousness of success rather than the consciousness of lack, I am not suggesting mere mental gymnastics. I am revealing to you the very foundation of creation itself. Consider this every night before you sleep. Your consciousness is in a state of high receptivity. This is the time when the seed of your assumption will take root most deeply. Instead of falling asleep feeling the frustration of what you don't have, fall asleep in the consciousness of already having what you desire. Let me give you a specific technique. As you lay in your bed, close your eyes and ask yourself this question. How would I feel if I were already expressing the success I desire? Then let that feeling envelop you completely. Feel the satisfaction, the contentment, the absolute knowing that success is not something you're seeking, but something you're expressing right now. Remember, the subconscious mind accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. It doesn't argue, it doesn't question, it simply accepts and then proceeds to express that acceptance in your outer world. This is why feeling is the secret. Many of you have been told that you must work hard, struggle, and sacrifice to achieve success. But I tell you, these are the very assumptions that keep you bound to the consciousness of lack. Success is not achieved through effort. It is expressed through assumption. Think about this. When you assume the feeling of success, you are actually moving into a different state of consciousness. In this new state, opportunities that were always there but invisible to your previous state of consciousness suddenly become visible and available to you. Let me share with you a principle that few understand. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out. Everything you perceive is an expression of your own consciousness. Therefore, when you live in the consciousness of lack, the whole world conspires to show you lack. When you live in the consciousness of success, the same world reorganizes itself to show you success. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something? Yes, but your actions must spring from the consciousness of already being successful, not from the consciousness of trying to become successful. Do you see the difference? When you act from the consciousness of lack, your actions are tinged with anxiety, doubt, and the energy of seeking. But when you act from the consciousness of already being successful, your actions flow naturally, effortlessly, inspired by the very state you have assumed. Consider this: success is not a destination. It is a state of consciousness. Just as you can move from one room to another in your physical home, you can move from one state of consciousness to another in your spiritual home. The move is accomplished not by physical effort, but by assumption. Let me tell you something profound. The state of consciousness of already being successful knows exactly what to do. It knows precisely what actions to take. It attracts the right circumstances, the right people, the right opportunities. But you must first occupy that state. Let us now address what many find most challenging: maintaining this new state of consciousness when your external world has not yet caught up with your inner assumption. This is where most people falter, where they allow the evidence of their senses to pull them back into the consciousness of lack. Remember this eternal truth: the outer world must conform to your inner assumptions, but it does so in its own time and in what often appears to be a natural way. While you're waiting for the outer manifestation, you must maintain the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. Let me share with you what I mean by persistence in assumption. When you wake each morning, your first thoughts often determine the tone of your entire day. Instead of waking to thoughts of what you lack or what you need to achieve, wake to the consciousness of already being successful. Feel it as naturally as you feel the pillow beneath your head. Many of you ask, but Neville, what about when things go wrong? What about when circumstances seem to contradict my assumption? Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, for this is crucial. Circumstances have no power to alter your state of consciousness unless you give them that power. When circumstances seem to deny your assumption, that is the time to intensify your feeling of already being what you desire to be. Remember, the outer world is only reflecting your past assumptions. Your present assumption, if persisted in, will become your future fact. Consider this: every moment of your day, you are either strengthening your new state of consciousness or falling back into the old state of lack. Your inner conversations, your reactions to events, your feelings about yourself, these are either confirming your new state or contradicting it. Let me give you a specific example. When you receive a bill in the mail, do you immediately fall into the consciousness of lack, thinking, how will I pay this? Or do you maintain the consciousness of abundance, knowing that as a successful person, all your needs are met with ease? Your reaction in such moments reveals your true state of consciousness. This is why I tell you, the one thing you must stop doing is allowing external circumstances to determine your internal state. Your internal state must be maintained regardless of external evidence. This is the art of living from the end. Think about this: success is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens from you. It is the outer expression of an inner conviction. When you truly live in the consciousness of being successful, success becomes as natural as breathing. Many of you have been taught to set goals, to make plans, to take action. But I tell you, before all of these, you must first establish the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. For your goals, plans, and actions will then spring from this new state of consciousness, carrying with them the power of fulfillment. Let me share with you a profound secret about manifestation. The world is not responding to your wants, your needs, or your wishes. It is responding to your state of consciousness. When you live in the consciousness of lack, saying, I want success, you are actually manifesting more wanting, not more success. Now let us discuss what I consider to be the most vital aspect of this teaching, the role of faith in maintaining your new state of consciousness. But when I speak of faith, I do not mean blind belief or hoping for the best. I speak of faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen in the external world. Consider this profound truth. Faith is nothing more than loyalty to your unseen assumption. When you assume the consciousness of being successful and persist in that assumption despite all external evidence to the contrary, you are exercising true faith. Let me tell you something that few understand about the nature of faith. Faith is not believing that something will happen in the future. Faith is knowing that what you desire is already yours in consciousness, and therefore must manifest in your experience. This is why I tell you that imagination creates reality. Many of you struggle with maintaining your assumption because you're constantly looking for evidence in the external world. But I tell you, the evidence appears after the assumption, never before. Your task is to remain faithful to your assumption until it hardens into fact. Think about this. Every time you say, I'll believe it when I see it, you are living in direct opposition to the law of consciousness. The correct attitude is, I'll see it because I believe it. This is the true meaning of faith. When you wake in the morning and your external world shows no sign of your assumed success, that is the moment to intensify your faith. Instead of allowing the external to shake your conviction, let every contradiction strengthen your resolve to maintain your new state of consciousness. Let me share with you a practical technique for maintaining your faith. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself slipping back into the consciousness of lack, stop and ask yourself this question: how would I be thinking and feeling right now if I were already expressing the success I desire? This simple question will bring you back to your desired state of consciousness. But remember, this is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about assuming the natural feeling of already being what you desire to be. Consider how a truly successful person thinks and feels. They don't wake up wondering if success will come to them. They don't go through their day seeking success. They live, move, and have their being in the consciousness of success. This must become your new normal. Many of you have created habits of thought and feeling that perpetuate the consciousness of lack. Every time you say, I can't afford it, it's too difficult, I'm not ready, you are strengthening these habits. These must be replaced with new habits that spring from your assumed state of success. Let me tell you something profound about habits of consciousness. They can be changed in an instant by assumption. The moment you assume a new state of consciousness, you have changed. The persistence of that change depends entirely on your loyalty to the new state. Let us now explore what happens in the interval between your assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. This interval is where most people falter, where they allow doubt to creep in and return to the old state of consciousness. Remember this. The interval is not a period of waiting, it is a period of gestation. Just as a seed planted in the ground requires time to grow into a visible plant, your assumption requires time to grow into a visible manifestation. But the seed does not doubt. It simply grows according to law. Many of you ask, how long must I maintain this new consciousness before I see results? This is the voice of doubt, the voice that would pull you back into the consciousness of lack. Time is not a factor in the operation of consciousness. The only factor is the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Consider this: every moment you spend wondering when your desire will manifest is a moment spent in the consciousness of not having it. Every moment you spend checking to see if it's working is a moment of doubt. These moments of doubt are like continually digging up a seed to see if it's growing. Let me share with you the secret of perfect faith. Live as though your assumption is already fact. When you truly assume the consciousness of being successful, you no longer worry about when or how it will manifest. You simply live from that state, knowing that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify itself in your world. Think about this. The outer world is nothing more than a delayed reflection of your inner assumptions. What you are experiencing now is the result of past assumptions. What you will experience tomorrow is being determined by your consciousness today. Many of you struggle with what appears to be failure or setback. But I tell you, there is no such thing as failure when you understand the law of consciousness. What appears as failure is simply the passing away of an old state of consciousness. It is making way for the new state you have assumed. Let me tell you something profound about the nature of success. It is not a series of achievements or acquisitions. It is a state of consciousness that, once truly assumed, expresses itself in countless ways in your external world. When you live in the consciousness of success, success becomes your natural experience. Consider how different your life would be if you never again lived in the consciousness of lack. If you never again said, I can't, I need, I want. If you lived completely and consistently in the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. This is the challenge I leave with you tonight. Stop doing the one thing that pushes success away. Stop living in the consciousness of lack. Begin now to live in the consciousness of fulfillment. Let every thought, every feeling, every inner conversation spring from the assumption that you are already what you desire to be. Remember this eternal truth. The world is yourself pushed out. Change your concept of self, and you change your world. There is no other way. All things exist in consciousness, and it is from consciousness that all things appear. Your task is simple, though it may not be easy. Assume the consciousness of being successful now. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now. For now is the only time there is. And now is when your assumptions are creating your future. I leave you with this final thought. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you express from a state of consciousness. The consciousness of lack perpetuates lack. The consciousness of success perpetuates success. Choose this day which consciousness you will live from. For in the end, there is only one cause behind all effects, one source of all manifestation, consciousness. And you are that consciousness individualized as you. The power is within you. The choice is yours. The time is now. Test this law. Prove it to yourself. For in the testing lies your freedom. And in the proving lies your transformation. Go now and live in the assumption that you are already that which you desire to be. And watch as your world transforms to reflect your new state of consciousness. The one thing you must stop doing is waiting to be successful. For success is not a future state to be achieved, it is a present state to be assumed. Assume it now, live from it now, be it now. For what you assume, you become. And now, knowing this truth, knowing that the power is within you, knowing that your consciousness creates your reality, go forth and be what you desire to be. For in this knowing lies your freedom. And in this freedom lies your power. Test it, prove it, live it. For this is the law, and this is the way. Good night. Imagine with me for a moment. Close your eyes and see yourself standing at the precipice of your greatest desire. Feel the anticipation coursing through your veins, the excitement bubbling in your chest. Now take a step forward and suddenly the ground beneath you gives way. You're falling, tumbling through space. Your dreams seemingly slipping through your fingers like grains of sand. This, my beloved, is what the world calls a setback. But I say to you now with every fiber of my being that this fall is not your demise. It is, in fact, the very springboard from which you will launch into the stratosphere of your wildest imagination. For you see, a setback is nothing more than a setup for the most magnificent comeback you have yet to conceive. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. In the grand tapestry of existence, there are no accidents, no mishaps, no unfortunate turns of fate. Every event, every circumstance, every seeming obstacle is a carefully orchestrated part of the divine plan, your plan. Yes, you heard me correctly. Your plan. For you are the operant power of your world. You are the God of your universe, the author of your story. And in this story, you have written a chapter of momentary challenge, not to break you, but to remake you, to forge you in the fires of adversity, so that you may emerge as the purest and most potent version of yourself. Consider, if you will, the diamond. This precious gem, coveted by many, does not begin its existence in a state of brilliance and beauty. No, it starts as a humble lump of carbon buried deep within the earth. It is only through immense pressure, through what we might call a setback in its journey to the surface, that it transforms into the dazzling jewel we so admire. You, my dear friends, are that diamond in the making. Your setbacks are the very pressure needed to crystallize your potential, to reveal the facets of your brilliance that had been hidden from view. But how, you may ask, can we transmute these moments of despair into the golden opportunities they truly are? The answer lies in the power of your imagination, in the creative force of your consciousness. Neville Goddard taught us that our imagination is the God within us. It is the creative power through which we shape our reality. And it is through this power that we can reframe our setbacks, reimagine our circumstances, and set the stage for our triumphant return. When faced with a setback, do not dwell in the valley of despair. Instead, close your eyes and see yourself already in possession of your desire. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment of having overcome this temporary obstacle. For in the realm of imagination, there is no past or future, only the eternal now. In this now, you are already victorious. In this now, your comeback is not a distant hope, but a present reality. Your task is simply to align your consciousness with this truth, to live from the end result, to embody the state of the person who has already triumphed over adversity. Let me share with you a profound secret. The universe responds not to your current circumstances, but to the state of consciousness you inhabit. When you persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live though your comeback has already occurred, the outer world has no choice but to conform to this inner conviction. This, my friends, is the law of assumption. Assume the feeling of your fulfilled, and your setback will inevitably transform into the setup for your greatest comeback. But let us not stop here. Let us delve even deeper into the mystical truth of your being. For you are not merely a physical entity navigating a material world. You are consciousness itself, temporarily expressing itself through this human form. In this life, what we perceive as setbacks are merely the contrast necessary for our consciousness to experience and express itself more fully. Just as an artist needs both light and shadow to create depth in a painting, your consciousness utilizes these moments of perceived difficulty to add richness and dimension to your life's masterpiece. Imagine, if you will, a world without challenges, without obstacles, without setbacks. It would be a flat, monotonous existence and devoid of the very experiences that make life vibrant and meaningful. It is through overcoming, through rising above, through staging our comebacks that we truly come alive. So I implore you, do not shy away from your setbacks. Embrace them as the friends they truly are, the catalyst for your growth, the springboards for your evolution, the set for your most glorious comeback. Let us consider the nature of time itself. In our limited human perception, we see time as a linear progression past, present, future. But in the greater reality, all time exists simultaneously. Your comeback, your triumph, your ultimate success already exists in the eternal now. Your task then is not to create this success, but to step into it, to align your consciousness with the version of you who has already overcome, who has already staged the comeback, who is already living the life you desire. How do we achieve this alignment? Through the power of feeling. Feeling is the secret, the key that unlocks the door to your desired reality. When you can feel the reality of your comeback as vividly as you feel the chair you're sitting on, when you can taste the sweetness of your success as clearly as you taste your morning coffee, when you can hear the applause of your triumph as distinctly as you hear my voice now, that is when your comeback becomes inevitable. But remember, my dear friends, feeling is not mere emotion. It is not the fleeting excitement of a daydream or the temporary high of positive thinking. No, the feeling I speak of is a deep, unshakable knowing. It is the calm certainty of who has already arrived at their destination, looking back at the journey with gratitude and understanding. This feeling, this state of consciousness, is what transforms your setback into a setup. It is what alchemizes the lead or current circumstances into the gold of your desired reality. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I feel the reality of my comeback when my current circumstances seem so dire? How can I ignore the evidence of my senses that tells me I'm in the midst of a setback? To you I say this, your senses show you only the shadow world, the world of effects. But you as the operant power live in the world of causes. Your imagination, your consciousness is the cause. The outer world is merely the effect. When you change the cause, your state of consciousness, the effect must follow. It has no choice. This is the law of your being, as inviolable as the law of gravity. So how do we practically apply this principle? How do we use our setbacks as a setup for our comeback? Let me guide you through a simple yet powerful exercise. Close your eyes now and bring to mind your current setback. See it clearly, feel the weight of it. Now imagine a screen before you, like a cinema screen. On this screen, project an interview of yourself having already overcome this setback. See yourself radiant with success, filled with the joy of accomplishment. Step into this image. Merge with it. Feel what it feels like to be this version of you. Feel the confidence in your stride, the peace in your heart, the clarity in your mind. This is the real you. The you that exists beyond time and space. The you that has already staged the comeback. Now open your eyes, but maintain this feeling. Carry it with you throughout your day. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions. For as you do this, you are literally rearing the substance of the universe to match this inner state. You see, my beloved, the outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. As within, so without. As above, so below. This is the hermetic principle that governs all of creation. Your setback, then, is merely a shadow cast by an old state of consciousness. As you shift into the consciousness of your comeback, the shadow must shift as well. It has no choice. It is law. But let us go even further. Let us transcend the very concept of setbacks and comebacks altogether. For in the highest truth, there is no separation between you and your desire. There is no gap to be bridged, no distance to be traveled. You are already that which you seek to become. Your comeback is not something to be achieved in the future, but a reality to be recognized now. The journey from setback to comeback is not a physical one, but a journey of awareness. It is the journey from forgetting to remembering, from sleep to awakening, from the illusion of separation to the reality of oneness. In this life, your setback is not an obstacle to be overcome, but a gift to be unwrapped. It is the universe's way of inviting you to remember your true nature, to reclaim your power, to step into the fullness of who you really are. So, my dear friends, I ask you now, will you accept this invitation? Will you unwrap this gift? Will you allow your setback to be the setup for the grandest comeback of all? The comeback to your true self. For make no mistake, this is the ultimate comeback. It is the return to the awareness of your divine nature, the recognition of your oneness with all of creation. It is the realization that you are not a mere mortal striving against the winds of fate, but the very wind itself, the force that shapes reality. In this realization lies the secret of all comebacks. For when you know, truly know, that you are the creator of your reality, what setback can possibly stand in your way? What obstacle can resist the power of your consciousness? None, I tell you. None at all. So let us reframe our understanding of setbacks. Let us see them not as punishments or misfortunes, but as opportunities. Opportunities to remember, to awaken, to create anew. When faced with a setback, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what is this inviting me to become? What greater version of myself is this calling forth? For you see, the setback is not happening to you, it is happening for you. It is the universe, which is nothing other than your own expanded self, conspiring in your favor, setting the stage for your grandest performance yet. Think of it this way: the setback is the resistance that strengthens your muscles. It is the question that deepens your wisdom. It is the darkness that makes your light shine brighter. Without the setback, there can be no comeback. Without the fall, there can be no rise. Without the winter, there can be no glorious spring. So, embrace your setbacks. Welcome them as old friends, for they are the heralds of your comeback, the harbingers of your greatness. But remember, the power lies not in the setback itself, but in your response to it. It is your consciousness, your imagination, that transforms the setback into a setup for comeback. So how will you choose to respond? Will you succumb to despair, or will you rise in triumph? Will you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, or as the master of your fate? The choice, as always, is yours, for you are the operant power. You are the deciding factor. You are the God of your universe. Choose wisely, my beloved. Choose to see your setback as the setup it truly is. Choose to feel the reality of your comeback now. Choose to live from the end, to embody the state of your wish fulfilled. As you make this choice, feel the power surging through you. Feel the alignment with your true self, with the God within. Feel the absolute certainty that your comeback is not just possible, but inevitable. For in truth, there is no power outside of you that can prevent your comeback. There is no force in the universe that can resist the creative power of your consciousness. You are the power you seek. You are the comeback you desire. You are the fulfillment of your own prophecy. So declare it now, feel it now, live it now. Your setback is the setup for your greatest comeback. It is done. It is finished. It is accomplished. Now go forth into your world with this knowing. Let every step you take be a step of triumph. Let every word you speak be a declaration of your comeback. Let every breath you take be a celebration of your victory. For you are not moving towards your comeback. You are your comeback. You are the embodiment of triumph, the personification of resilience, the living proof that every ascetic deed is set up for a glorious return. My dear friends, as we continue our exploration of this profound truth, let us delve even deeper into the mystical depth of being. For you are not merely a physical entity navigating a material world. You are consciousness itself, temporarily expressing itself through this human form. In this light, what we perceive as setbacks are merely the contrast necessary for consciousness to experience and express itself more fully. Just as an artist needs both light and shadow to create depth in a painting, your consciousness utilizes these moments of perceived difficulty to add richness and dimension to your life's masterpiece. Imagine, if you will, a world without challenges, without obstacles, without setbacks. It would be a flat, monotonous existence, devoid of the very experiences that make life vibrant and meaningful. It is through overcoming, through rising above, through staging our comebacks that we truly come alive. So I implore you, do not shy away from your setbacks. Embrace them as the friends they truly are, the catalysts for your growth, the springboards for your evolution, the setup for your most glorious comeback. Now let us consider the nature of time itself. In our limited human perception, we see time as a linear progression, past, present, future. But in the greater reality, all time exists simultaneously. Your comeback, your triumph, your ultimate success already exists in the eternal now. Your task then is not to create this success, but to step into it, to align your consciousness with the version of you who has already overcome, who has already staged the comeback, who is already living the life you desire. How do we achieve this alignment? Through the power of feeling. Feeling is the secret, the key that unlocks the door to your desired reality. When you can feel the reality of comeback as vividly as you feel the chair you're sitting on, when you can taste the sweetness of success as clearly as you taste your morning coffee, When you can hear the applause of your triumph as distinctly as you hear my voice now, that is when your comeback becomes inevitable. But remember, my dear friends, feeling is not mere emotion. It is not the fleeting excitement of a daydream or the temporary high of positive thinking. No, the feeling I speak of is a deep, unshakable knowing. It is the calm certainty of one who has already arrived at their destination, looking back at the journey with gratitude and understanding. This feeling, this state of consciousness, is what transforms your setback into a setup. It is what alchemizes the lead of your current circumstances into the gold of your desired reality. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I feel the reality of my comeback when my current circumstances seem so dire? How can I ignore the evidence of my senses that tells me I'm in the midst of a setback? To you I say this, your senses show you only the shadow world, the world of effects. But you, as the operant power, live in the world of causes. Your imagination, your consciousness is the cause. The outer world is merely the effect. When you change the cause, your state of consciousness, the effect must follow. It has no choice. This is the law of your being, as inviolable as the law of gravity. So how do we practically apply this principle? How do we use our setbacks as the setup for our comeback? Let me guide you through a simple, yet powerful exercise. Close your eyes now and bring to mind your current setback. See it clearly, feel the weight of it. Now imagine a screen before you like a hammer screen. On this screen, project an image of yourself having already overcome this setback. See yourself radiant with success, filled with the joy of accomplishment. Step into this image, merge with it. Feel what it feels like to be this version of you. Feel the confidence in your stride, the peace in your heart, the clarity in your mind. This is the real you, the you that exists beyond time and space, the you that has already staged the comeback. Now open your eyes, but maintain this feeling. Carry it with you throughout your day. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions. For as you do this, you are literally rearranging the substance of the universe to match this inner state. You see, my beloved, the outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. As within, so without. As above, so below. This is the Hermetic principle that governs all of creation. Your setback, then, is merely a shadow cast by an old state of consciousness. As you shift into the consciousness of your comeback, the shadow must shift as well. It has no choice. It is law. But let us go even further. Let us transcend the very concept of setbacks and comebacks altogether. For in the highest truth, there is no separation between you and your desire. There is no gap to be bridged, no distance to be traveled. You are already that which you seek to become. Your comeback is not something to be achieved in the future, but a reality to be recognized now. The journey from setback to comeback is not a physical one, but a journey of awareness. It is the journey from forgetting to remembering, from sleep to awakening, from the illusion of separation to the reality of oneness. In this life, your setback is not an obstacle to be overcome, but a gift to be unwrapped. It is the universe's way of inviting you to remember your true nature, to reclaim your power, to step into the fullness of who you really are. So, my dear friends, I ask you now, will you accept this invitation? Will you unwrap this gift? Will you allow your setback to be the setup for the grandest comeback of all, the comeback to your true self? For make no mistake, this is the ultimate comeback. It is the return to the awareness of your divine nature, the recognition of your oneness with all of creation. It is the realization that you are not a mere mortal striving against the wings of fate, but the very wing itself, the force that shapes reality. In this realization lies the secret of all comebacks. For when you know, truly know, that you are the creator of your reality, what setback can possibly stand in your way? What obstacle can resist the power of your consciousness? None, I tell you. None at all. So let us reframe our understanding of setbacks. Let us see them not as punishments or misfortunes, but as opportunities. Opportunities to remember, to awaken, to create anew. When faced with a setback, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what is this inviting me to become? What greater version of myself is this calling forth? If you see the setback is not happening to you, it is happening for you. It is the universe, which is nothing other than your own expanded self conspiring in your favor, setting the stage for your grandest performance yet. Think of it this way: the setback is the resistance that strengthens your muscles. It is the question that deepens your wisdom. It is the darkness that makes your light shine brighter. Without the setback, there can be no comeback. Without the fall, there can be no rise. Without the winter, there can be no glorious spring. So embrace your setbacks. Welcome them as old friends, for they are the heralds of your comeback, the harbingers of your greatness. But remember, the power lies not in the setback itself, but in your response to it. It is your consciousness, your imagination, that transforms the setback into a setup for comeback. So how will you choose to respond? Will you succumb to despair, or will you rise in triumph? Will you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, or as the master of your fate? The choice, as always, is yours. For you are the operant power. You are the deciding factor. You are the God of your universe. Choose wisely, my beloved. Choose to see your set as a setup it truly is. Choose to feel the reality of your comeback now. Choose to live from the end, to embody the state of your wish fulfilled. As you make this choice, feel the power surging through you. Feel the alignment with your true self, with the God within. Feel the absolute certainty that your comeback is not just possible, but inevitable. For in truth, there is no power outside of you that can prevent your comeback. There is no force in the universe that can resist the creative power of your consciousness. You are the power you seek. You are the comeback you desire. You are the fulfillment of your own prophecy. So declare it now. Feel it now. Live it now. Your setback is the setup for your greatest comeback. It is done. It is finished. It is accomplished. Now go forth into your world with this knowing. Let every step you take be a step of triumph. Let every word you speak be a declaration of your comeback. Let every breath you take be a celebration of your victory. For you are not moving towards your comeback. You are your comeback. You are the embodiment of triumph, the personification of resilience, the living proof that every setback is indeed a setup for a glorious return. My dear friends, as we delve even deeper into this profound truth, let us explore the very fabric of reality itself. For you see, what we perceive as the solid, physical world is, in truth, nothing more than a projection of consciousness. It is a dream, if you will, and you are the dreamer. In this dream, your setbacks are merely plot twists in the story you are telling yourself. They are the conflicts that make the narrative interesting, the challenges that give your character depth and dimension. But here's the magnificent truth: as the dreamer, you have the power to change the dream at any moment. You can rewrite the script, redirect the plot, transform the setback into the most magnificent comeback ever conceived. How do you do this? By changing your state of consciousness. By shifting your awareness from the limited perspective of the dream character to the unlimited perspective of the dreamer. From this higher vantage point, you can see that your setback is not a stumbling block, but a stepping stone. It is not an end, but a beginning. It is not a punishment, but a preparation. Imagine, if you will, that you are watching a play. The hero of this play faces a terrible setback. The audience gasps, their hearts heavy with sympathy for the protagonist's plight. But you, my dear, you are not just a member of the audience. You are the playwright, the director, and the lead actor all at once. You know that this setback is not the end of the story. In fact, it is the very thing that brings the hero's eventual triumph, all the more sweet, all the more satisfying, all the more glorious. This, beloved, is the perspective you must adopt in your own life. See your setbacks as the defeats, but as the necessary setup for your grand comeback. Feel the anticipation, the excitement of knowing that this challenge is merely the prelude to your greatest victory. But remember, it is not enough to intellectually understand this truth. You must feel it in the very depths of your being. You must embody it in every cell of your body, in every fiber of your being. So you see, the universe responds not to your thoughts, not to your words, but to your state of being. It mirrors back to you the consciousness you embody. So I ask you now, who are you being in the face of your setback? Are you being the victim, crushed by circumstances beyond your control? Or are you being the victor, confidently striding through this temporary challenge, knowing it is merely the setup for your comeback? Choose wisely, my dear friends, for as you choose your state of being, you choose your reality. Now let us take this understanding even feet further. Let us explore the quantum nature of reality. For in the realm of quantum physics, we discover that reality is not fixed, but fluid. It is not predetermined, but probabilistic. What does this mean for you in your comeback? It means that at every moment, there are unchained potential realities, potential realities is available to you. Infinite versions of you living out infinite variations of your life story. There's a version of you who has already made the comeback, who has already overcome the setback, who is already living the life you dream of. Your task then is not to create this reality, but to tune into it, to align your consciousness with this version of God, to step into this reality as if stepping into a new suit of clothes. How do you do this? Through the power of your imagination. For your imagination is not mere fantasy or idle daydreaming. It is the very interface between you and the quantum field of infinite possibilities. When you imagine your coming back vividly, when you feel it as real, you are literally tuning your consciousness to that frequency. You are aligning yourself with that version of reality. And here's the magical part. As you maintain this state, as you persist in this feeling, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner state. This is not wishful thinking. This is quantum mechanics. This is the law of your being. So, my beloved, I invite you now to use your imagination. Close your eyes and see yourself as you wish to be. See yourself having already made the comeback. Feel the joy, the satisfaction of this state. Make it vivid. Make it real. Engage your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What does success taste like? What is the fragrance of triumph? Now open your eyes, but maintain this feeling. Carry it with you throughout your day. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions. For as you do this, you are literally rearranging the substance of the universe to match this inner state. But let us go even further. Let us transcend the very concept of comebacks altogether. For in the highest truth, there is no separation between you and your desire. There is no gap to be bridged. No distance to be traveled. You are already that which you seek to become. Your comeback is not something to be achieved in the future, but a reality to be recognized now. The journey from setback to comeback is not a physical one, but a journey of awareness. It is the journey from forgetting to remembering, from sleep to awakening, from the illusion of separation to the reality of oneness. In this light, your setback is not an obstacle to be overcome, but a gift to be unwrapped. It is the universe's way of inviting you to remember your true nature, to reclaim your power, to step into the fullness of who you really are. So, my dear friends, I ask you now, will you accept this invitation? Will you unwrap this gift? Will you allow your setback to be the setup for the grandest comeback of all, the comeback to your true self? For make no mistake, this is the ultimate comeback. It is the return to the awareness of your divine nature, the recognition of your oneness with all of creation. It is the realization that you are not a mere mortal striving against the winds of fate, but the very wind itself, the force that shapes reality. In this realization lies the secret of all comebacks. For when you know, truly know, that you are the creator of your reality, what setback can possibly stand in your way? What obstacle can resist the power of your consciousness? None, I tell you, none at all. So let us reframe our understanding of setbacks. Let us see them not as punishments but misfortunes, but as opportunities. Opportunities to remember, to awaken, to create anew. When faced with a setback, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what is this inviting me to become? What greater version of myself is this calling forth? For you see, the setback is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is the universe, which is nothing other than your own expanded self, conspiring in your favor, setting the stage for your grandest performance yet. Think of it this way: the setback is the resistance that strengthens your muscles. It is the question that deepens your wisdom. It is the darkness that makes your light shine brighter. Without the setback, there can be no comeback. Without the fall, there can be no rise. Without the winter, there can be no glorious spring. So, embrace your setbacks, welcome them as old friends, for they are the heralds of your comeback, the harbingers of your greatness. But remember, the power lies not in the setback itself, but in your response to it. It is your consciousness, your imagination, that transforms the setback into a setup for comeback. So how will you choose to respond? Will you succumb to despair? Or will you rise in triumph? Will you see yourself as a victim of circumstance, or as the master of your fate? The choice as always is yours, for you are the operant power. You are the deciding factor. You are the God of your universe. Choose wisely, my beloved. Choose to see your setback as the setup it truly is. Choose to feel the reality of your comeback now. Choose to live from the end, to embody the state of your wish fulfilled. As you make this choice, feel the power surging through you. Feel the alignment with your true self, with the God within. Feel the absolute certainty that your comeback is not just possible, but inevitable. For in truth, there is no power outside of you that can prevent your comeback. There is no force in the universe that can resist the creative power of your consciousness. You are the power you seek. You are the comeback you desire. You are the fulfillment of your own prophecy. So declare it now, feel it now, live it now. Your setback is the setup for your greatest comeback. It is done. It is finished. It is accomplished. Now go forth into your world with this knowing. Let every step you take be a step of triumph. Let every word you speak be a declaration of your comeback. Let every breath you take be a celebration of your victory. For you are not moving towards your comeback. You are your comeback. You are the embodiment of triumph, the personification of resilience, the living proof that every setback is indeed a setup for a glorious return. My dear friends, as we reach the culmination of our exploration, let us embrace the fullness of this truth. Let us allow it to permeate every aspect of our being, to transform not just our understanding, but our very experience of life. So you see, the principle we have been discussing, that a setback is a setup for a comeback, is not merely a motivational platitude. It is a fundamental law of existence, as real and as immutable as gravity itself. Just as an archer must draw back the bowstring to propel the arrow forward, just as a spring must be compressed to release its energy, so too must you experience the tension of setback to launch into the glory of your comeback. But here's the critical point. The power of the comeback is directly proportional to the depth of the setback. The further back you're pulled, the further forward you can spring. The darker the night, the brighter the dawn. So I implore you, do not resist your setbacks. Do not fight against them or bemoan their presence in your life. Instead, welcome them, embrace them, for they are the very fuel that will pour your magnificent comeback. Imagine, if you will, that you are an alchemist. Your setbacks are the base metal, the lead that you have been given to work with. But you, my dear, possess the philosopher's stone. You have the power to transmute this lead into gold. What is this philosopher's stone? It is your consciousness. It is your power of imagination. It is your unshakable faith in the principle we have been discussing. As you apply this power to your setbacks, as you hold them in the alchemical fire of your consciousness, they begin to transform. The lead of disappointment becomes the gold of opportunity. The dross of defeat becomes the precious metal of triumph. But remember, this alchemy doesn't happen by itself. It requires your active participation. It demands that you maintain the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled, even in the face of contrary evidence. This, my beloved, is when they falter. They allow the outer appearances to dictate their inner state. They let the setback define them, rather than defining the setback through the lens of their desired comeback. Do not fall into this trap. Stand firm in your knowing. Hold fast to your vision, for it is your persistence in the face of apparent failure that will ultimately bring about your success. Think of the butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. To an outside observer, the struggle might appear futile, even cruel. But it is precisely this struggle that strengthens the butterfly's wings, preparing it for flight. Your setbacks are your chrysalis. They are the cocoon in which you are transforming, growing, becoming. And just like the butterfly, when you emerge, you will soar to heights you never before possible. But here's a crucial point. The butterfly doesn't focus on the struggle. It doesn't bemoan its confinement. It simply pushes forward, driven by an innate knowing that it is meant to fly. This, my friends, is the consciousness you must adopt. Even in this of your setback, you must hold the unwavering conviction that you are meant to soar, that your comeback is not just possible but inevitable. For you see, in the grand tapestry of existence, your comeback has already occurred. In the eternal now, where all time exists simultaneously, you have already triumphed. You have already overcome. You are already living your dream. Your task then is not to make the comeback happen, but to align yourself with the version of you who has already made it. To step into that reality, to embody that state of being. How do you do this? By living from the end. By feeling the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment of your comeback now. Not as a future possibility, but as a present reality. Close your eyes for a moment and feel it. Feel the exhilaration of having overcome your setback. Feel the confidence that comes from having turned your stumbling block into a stepping stone. Feel the deep, abiding peace of knowing that you are the master of your faith, the captain of your soul. This feeling, this state of being, is your true home. It is your natural state. The setback is the illusion. The comeback is the reality. As you persist in this state, as you make it your dwelling place, you will find that the outer world begins to shift. Circumstances will rearrange themselves. Opportunities will appear. People will enter your life who can assist you in your journey. For you see, the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. As you change within, it must change without. It has no choice. This is the law. But remember, this change may not be instant. There may be a time lag between your inner shift and its outer manifestation. This is where faith comes in. This is where you must stand firm in your knowing, even when appearances suggest otherwise. It is the secret of making the universe respond to your desires, of shaping reality itself through the power of your imagination. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. Neville, you might say, how can this be possible? How can my mere thoughts and imaginings affect the solid, tangible world around me? And to that I say, not only is it possible, it is the very foundation of all creation, the bedrock upon which our entire existence is built. You see, my dear friends, the world you perceive around you, the chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, the thoughts of the person next to you, all of it is nothing more than a reflection of your own consciousness. The universe in all its infinite wisdom and glory is responding moment by moment to the state of your imagination, to the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. Let me be clear, when I speak of imagination, I'm not referring to idle daydreams or fleeting fantasies. No, I am speaking of something far more profound, far more fundamental to your being. Your imagination, properly understood and applied, is your very self. It is God in action within you. It is in essence the creative power of the universe focused through the lens of your individual consciousness. Now I can see the skepticism in some of your eyes. You're wondering if this is true. Why isn't my life perfect? Why do I face challenges and setbacks? And to that I say, because you have yet fully awakened to your true nature, to the immense power that lies dormant within you. You see, most people go through life believing they are at the mercy of external circumstances. They believe that their lives are shaped by forces beyond their control, by their upbringing, their environment, their genes, or even by some capricious deity who doles out blessings and curses at will. But I am here to tell you with absolute certainty that nothing could be further from the truth. You, my dear friends, are the operant power in your life. You are the one who shapes your reality, who determines your fate. And you do this not through your actions in the outer world, but through the states you occupy in your imagination. Now let me explain what I mean by states. A state is a mindset, a way of being, a particular arrangement of your consciousness. When you embody a state, be it one of wealth, health, love, or success, you are in that moment, that very thing. And here's the crucial point. The outer world has no choice but to conform to the state you have assumed. This, my friends, is the law that governs all creation. It is immutable, unchanging, and it operates with perfect precision in every moment of your existence. The world is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the state you have assumed. But here's where most people stumble. They look at their current circumstances, at the limitations and lack in their lives, and they assume that this is their reality. They accept it as an unchangeable fact, not realizing that by doing so, they are perpetuating those very conditions. You see, the secret to changing your life, to making the universe respond, lies in your ability to disregard the evidence of your senses and instead live from the end. What do I mean by this? I mean that you must have the courage and the imagination to see your desires already fulfilled, to experience in your mind the joy and satisfaction of your wish realized. This, my friends, is the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the cornerstone of all successful manifestation, the key that unlocks the infinite potential of your imagination. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I possibly feel something that isn't true? How can I convince myself of a reality that doesn't exist? And to that I say, you are already doing it every moment of your life. Every belief you hold, every assumption you make about yourself and the world is nothing more than an act of imagination that you have accepted as truth. The only difference is that most people imagine unconsciously, allowing their minds to be shaped by past experiences and current circumstances. But you, my dear friends, have the power to imagine consciously, to deliberately choose the states you will occupy. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine a man who desires wealth. He looks at his current bank balance, at the bills piling up on his desk, and he feels poor. He walks down the street, sees luxury cars and expensive shops, and he feels lack. In every moment he is affirming his poverty, he is assuming the state of being poor. Now contrast this with a man who understands the power of imagination. This man, regardless of his current circumstances, chooses to assume the state of wealth. When he walks down that same street, he doesn't see things he can't afford. He sees evidence of abundance that is already his. When he looks at his bills, he feels gratitude for the services he's received and the ability to pay for them. In his imagination, he feels the crisp texture of large bills in his wallet. He experiences the peace of mind that comes with financial security. He savors the freedom to live as he chooses, to help others, to pursue his passions without concern for money. Which of these men do you think is more likely to manifest actual wealth in the outer world? The answer, of course, is clear. The universe can only respond to the state you occupy, to the assumptions you hold about yourself and your place in the world. Now, I want to address a common misconception. Some of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't this just positive thinking? Isn't this just fooling myself? And to that I say, absolutely not. What I'm describing goes far beyond mere positive thinking or affirmations. You see, positive thinking operates on the level of the conscious mind. It's an attempt to override negative thoughts with more positive ones. But the power I'm speaking of, the power to make the universe respond, operates at a much deeper level. It's not about thinking positively, it's about being positively. When you truly assume a state in your imagination, when you occupy it fully, you are not fooling yourself. You are in that moment actually becoming the person who has what you desire. You are shifting your entire consciousness, aligning yourself with the reality you wish to experience. This is why simply repeating affirmations or visualizing your desires often falls short. These techniques can be useful, but they're not enough on their own. To truly change your life, to make the universe respond, you must feel the reality of your desire. You must experience it so vividly in your imagination. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Neville, you might say, I've tried this. I've imagined what I want. I've tried to feel it real, but nothing has changed. And to that I say persistence is key. Remember, you are undoing a lifetime of habitual thinking and feeling. You are dismantling deeply ingrained beliefs about yourself and the world. This is not always an easy process. It requires dedication, it requires faith, and above all, it requires persistence. You must be willing to maintain your assumed state, even when all evidence points to the contrary. You must have courage to disregard the world of shadows and live fully in the world of imagination. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this point. I once knew a woman who desperately wanted to be married. She had been single for years, and despite her best efforts, she couldn't seem to find the right partner. She came to me frustrated and disheartened, asking for help. I instructed her to imagine every night before sleep that she was already married to the perfect partner. I told her to feel the ring on her finger, to experience the warmth of her lover's embrace, to hear the words of love and commitment whispered in her ear. At first she found this difficult. Her loneliness and frustration kept intruding on her imaginal scene, but she persisted. Night after night she lived in her imagination as a happily married woman, and slowly something began to change. She noticed that she felt different during the day. She carried herself with more confidence. She interacted with men differently, free from the desperation that had previously colored her interactions. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, she met someone. The relationship blossomed quickly, and within a year she was married to a man who matched perfectly the one she had been imagining. Now, some might call this a coincidence, but I assure you it was anything but. This woman had changed her state, had shifted her consciousness, and the universe had no choice but to respond in kind. This, my dear friends, is the power that lies within each and every one of you. The power to shape your reality, to mold the universe itself through the power of your imagination. But let me be clear, this is not about controlling others or manipulating external circumstances. The only thing you can ever change is yourself. But when you change yourself, when you shift your state, when you assume a new way of being, the entire world reshapes itself to match your new self-concept. Now, I want to address another important point. Some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something in the outer world to make our desires a reality? And to that I say, inspired action will flow naturally from your assumed state. You see, when you truly occupy a state of the wish fulfilled, when you live from the end, your actions in the outer world will naturally align with your desire. You won't have to force yourself to take action. You won't have to push against resistance. Instead, you'll find yourself naturally drawn to take the right actions at the right time. This is because your outer world is nothing more than an expression of your inner state. When you change your state, your perception changes and new opportunities become visible to you. Doors that were previously closed suddenly open. People and circumstances that can help you achieve your desire are drawn into your life, as if by magic. But remember, the action is not the cause of your manifestation, it is the result. The true cause is always the state you occupy in your imagination. This is why two people can take the same actions in the outer world and achieve vastly different results. It's not the action itself that determines the outcome, but the state from which the action springs. Now let's delve deeper into the mechanics of how this process works. Using your subconscious mind, which is really your connection to the infinite intelligence of the universe, doesn't distinguish between what you imagine vividly and what yields you experience in the outer world. To your subconscious, they are one and the same. This is why your imaginal acts are so powerful. When you imagine something vividly, when you occupy a state fully in your imagination, your subconscious accepts it as reality. And once your subconscious accepts something as real, it goes to work to make it so in your outer world. This is not some mystical or supernatural process, as it's simply the way consciousness operates. Your consciousness is the only reality. What you assume to be true, what you believe in the depths of your being, must be expressed in your outer world. This is an inviolable law of consciousness. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when I speak about these principles. Some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about other people? How can my imagination affect them? And to that I say, there are no others. I know this might sound strange, even solipsistic, but bear with me. You see, the people in your life, the circumstances you encounter, are all of you pushed out. They are reflections of your consciousness, expressions of your assumptions and beliefs. This doesn't mean that other people don't exist or that they don't have free will, but it does mean that your experience of them, your interactions with them are shaped by your consciousness. Change your consciousness and your experience of others will change too. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine a man who believes that people are generally unfriendly, unhelpful. As he goes about his day, he encounters people who seem to confirm this belief. The cashier at the store is curt with him. His co-workers are distant strangers on the street, avoid eye contact. Now imagine this same man decides to change his assumption. He begins to imagine that people are friendly and eager to help. He feels this new assumption as true. He occupies this new state fully in his imagination. And suddenly his experiences begin to change. The same cashier smiles and strikes up a friendly conversation. His co-workers become more open and collaborative. Strangers on the street offer warm smiles. Has the world suddenly changed? Have all these people suddenly become different? Of course not. What has changed is the man's consciousness. And as a result, his perception and experience of the world has shifted. This, my dear friends, is the true power of your imagination. It's not just about manifesting material things or achieving specific goals. It's about shaping your entire experience of reality. It's about becoming the protagon to be, about living in the world you want to inhabit. Now I want to address another important aspect of this work. Some of you might be wondering about the role of desire in this process. You might be asking, Neville, where do our desires come from? And how do we know which desires to pursue? To that I say, your desires are not random. They are not arbitrary whims, fancies. Your desires are messages from your higher self, from the God within you. They are invitations to grow, to expand, to more fully express your divine nature. When you feel a genuine desire, not a selfish want, but a deep, heartfelt longing, that is God's way of telling you what's possible for you. It's a preview of a potential reality that you have the power to manifest. This is why it is so important to honor your desires, to take them seriously. When you dismiss your desires as impossible or unworthy, you are turning your back on your own divinity. You are rejecting the gift that the universe is offering you. But here's the crucial point. The fulfillment of your desire is not the ultimate goal. The real pulse of your desire is to lead you to a new state of being, to a new level of consciousness. The outer manifestation is simply a guide. You have successfully shifted your state. This is why it's so important to focus on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, rather than on the specific details of how it will come about. When you imagine your desire is fulfilled, when you occupy that state fully, you are aligning yourself with the essence of what you want. And often the universe will surprise you by bringing your desire to pass in ways far more wonderful than you could have planned. Now, I want to address a common concern that arises when people begin to work with these principles. Some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what if I imagine something and it doesn't happen? What if I assume a state and nothing changes? To that I say, have patience and above all of that faith. Remember, you are working with the very substance of the universe. You are engaging with the fundamental laws of creation. This is not always an instantaneous process. Sometimes the seed you plant In your imagination will sprout quickly, manifesting in your outer world in a matter of days or weeks. Other times it may take longer. But make no mistake, once you have planted that seed, once you have truly occupied a state in your imagination, the wheels of creation are set in motion. Your manifestation is inevitable, as long as you maintain your faith and persist in your assumption. This is where many people falter. They imagine their desire, they try to feel it real, but when they don't see immediate results, they give up. They return to their old state, their old assumptions, and then wonder why nothing has changed. But I assure you, my dear friends, that every imaginal act you perform is fruitful. Every state you occupy leaves its mark on your subconscious. Even if you don't see immediate results, trust that your imagination is doing its work. Trust that the universe is rearranging itself to match your new set. This trust, this unwavering faith is crucial. You must have faith in the law, faith in the power of your imagination. But more than that, you must have faith in yourself, in your divine nature, in your ability to create your reality. Now let's talk about how to practically apply these principles in your daily life. The first step is to choose your state. What is it that you truly desire? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Once you've identified your desire, create a scene that implies its fulfillment. This scene should be short, simple, and easy to repeat. It should capture the essence of your desire, the feeling of it being realized. For example, if your desire is for a loving relationship, you might imagine hearing a loved one say, "I'm so happy we're together." Feel the warmth of their embrace, the love in their voice. Make it as vivid and real as possible. If your desire is for financial abundance, you might imagine looking at your bank statement and seeing a balance that thrills you. Feel the sense of security, the freedom that comes with financial abundance. Whatever you're seeing, the key is to make it feel real. Engage all your senses. Don't just see it, hear it, feel it, smell it. Taste it if appropriate. The more real you can make it in your imagination, the more powerful it will be. Now here's the crucial part. You must enter this scene as if it were happening now, not as a future event, not as something you hope will happen, but as a present reality. You must feel the naturalness of it, the sense that, of course, this is your reality. I recommend practicing this imaginal scene every night as you fall asleep. You see, sleep is a powerful time for impressing your subconscious mind. As you drift off to sleep, your conscious mind relaxes its hold, allowing your imaginal scene to sink deep into your subconscious. But don't limit yourself to nighttime. Throughout your day, whenever one moment, return to your scene. Feel the reality of it. Let the feeling of your wish fulfilled permeate your entire being. Now I want to address another important point. Some of you might be wondering about negative thoughts and doubts. You might be asking, Neville, what if I can't stop my negative thoughts? What if I doubt whether this will work? To that I say, don't fight your negative thoughts. Don't try to force them away. Instead, simply return to your imaginal scene. Return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, what you resist persists, but what you accept and then replace fades away. Your negative thoughts or doubts are simply habits of mind. They are old states that you've occupied for so long that they feel natural to you. But remember, you have the power to choose your state. You have the power to decide what you would accept as real. When doubts arise, when negative thoughts intrude, simply acknowledge them and then gently return to your chosen state. Say to yourself, there's that old thought again. But I know the truth. I know what's real. And then immerse yourself once more in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Over time, as you persist in your new state, these old thoughts and doubts will fade away. They'll lose their power over you. You'll find it easier and easier to maintain your chosen state, to live from the end. Now let's talk about something that many people struggle with, letting go. You see, there's a seeming paradox in this work. On one hand, you must live from the state of your wish fulfilled, feeling it as real and present. On the other hand, you must let go of attachment to the outcome. This can be challenging. How can you feel something as real and yet not be attached to it? The key is to understand that your job is not to make your desire happen. Your job is simply to occupy the state. The manifestation, the outer fulfillment, is not your concern. That's the job of the universe. When you truly live from the end, when you fully occupy your desired state, you no longer feel a sense of lack or need. You're not anxiously waiting for your desire to manifest, because in your imagination it already has. You're simply enjoying the state, savoring the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is true detachment. It's not about not caring whether your desire manifests. It's about knowing that it has already manifested on the level of imagination, which is the only reality. The outer world has no choice but to conform to this inner reality in divine timing and divine order. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when I speak about these principles. Some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about morality? What if someone uses this power for selfish or harmful purposes? To that, I say the law is neutral. Like gravity doesn't distinguish between what we might consider good or bad. It simply responds to the state we occupy. But I assure you that when you truly understand and apply these principles, you will have no desire to harm others or to act selfishly. You see, as you begin to experience your own divine nature, as you realize your oneness with all of creation, your desires naturally align with the highest good. You begin to understand that what blesses one blesses all, that there is no separation between you and others. Moreover, you realize that you don't need to take from others to have what you want. You don't need to compete or struggle. You simply need to assume the state of having or being what you desire, and the universe will respond accordingly. This understanding leads to a profound shift in consciousness. You move from a mindset of lack and limitation to one of abundance and infinite possibility. You realize that there is more than enough for everyone, that one person's gain doesn't have to mean another's loss. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a final thought. The principles I've shared with you today are not new. They are as old as consciousness itself. They have been taught by mystics and sages throughout the ages, often veiled in symbolic language. What I've attempted to do is to present these timeless truths in a clear, practical way that you can apply in your daily life. But remember, the real proof of these principles lies not in my words, but in your experience. I encourage you, my dear friends, to test these ideas for yourself. Choose a safe side, create your scene, and live from that state. Persist even when outer appearances seem to contradict your imaginal act. Have faith in the law. Have faith in your own divine nature. And as you do this, as you begin to experience the power of your imagination to shape your reality, you will undergo profound transformation. You will begin to understand, not just intellectually but experientially, that you are the operant power in your life. You will realize that the universe is not something separate from you, but a loving, responsive extension of your own consciousness. This realization, my friends, is true freedom. It's the key to creating the life you desire, to becoming the person you want to be. It's the secret to making the universe respond. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Everything you experience is a reflection of your own consciousness. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. This is the great secret, the great law. It has always been so, and it will always be so. As you leave here today, I urge you to carry this knowledge with you. Let it infuse every aspect of your life. Use your imagination lovingly and wisely. Create beautiful states for yourself and for others. Live from the state of your wishes fulfilled. For in doing so, you are not just changing your own life. You are participating in the grand dance of creation. You are fulfilling your divine purpose. You are making the universe respond. Not just to your individual desires, but to the highest and best possibilities for all of creation. Go forth, my dear friends, and create wonderfully. For you are the makers of your world, the authors of your destiny. The power is within you. The time is now. The choice is yours. Thank you, and may your imagination be blessed. I will share with you the most effective technique I have ever discovered. A practice so transformative, that when repeated faithfully, it rewrites the very fabric of your reality. The power lies not in the complexity of the method, but in the persistence and conviction with which you apply it. What I am about to tell you is not theory, but law. It is as immutable as gravity, as certain as the rising sun. When you truly grasp this principle and apply it with unwavering faith, your world will shift with such precision that you will stand in awe of your own creative power. The technique is this. Take your desire, your wish fulfilled, and repeat it to yourself as a present fact, not as something that will be, but as something that already is. 100 times each day, affirm your desire as an accomplished fact. But the crucial detail that most miss, it is not the mere repetition of words that PH, but the feeling of naturalness that accompanies your declaration. Let me explain the profound mechanics at work here. Your consciousness, your I am, is God Himself individualized. When you declare a thing to be true while occupying the state of your wish fulfilled, you are engaging the very power that created the universe. This is not positive thinking. This is the activation of universal law. Consider this truth. Everything you now accept as reality was once merely a thought, an imagination. Your current circumstances, your relationships, your position in life, all were first conceived in imagination before they materialized in your world. The outer world is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of your inner assumptions. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily, you are not engaging in mere affirmation. You are programming the depths of your subconscious mind. You are impressing upon the substance of creation itself the pattern of your desired reality. This is why the feeling is crucial. Each repetition must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness, the feeling that your desire is already a fact. Let me share with you a secret about this practice that few understand. The number 100 is not arbitrary. It represents completeness, fullness, the totality of conviction. When you repeat your desire 100 times, you are symbolically declaring its completeness in your consciousness. You are filling every corner of your mind with the reality of your wish fulfilled. But remember this vital truth. The words themselves are merely vessels. They carry the feeling, the consciousness of your desire fulfilled. As you repeat your statement, you must feel the reality of it. If your desire is for financial abundance, you must feel the security, the freedom, the joy of that abundance. If your desire is for a loving relationship, you must feel the warmth, the companionship, the deep connection of that relationship. Many of you ask, but Neville, how can I feel something that isn't yet true? Here is the supreme secret. In the realm of consciousness, there is no yet. There is only an although. When you enter the state of consciousness where your desire dwells, you are actually entering the reality where it already exists. Your physical reality has no choice but to conform to this new state of consciousness. The universe you see is not outside of you. It is within you. It is your own wonderful human imagination externalized. When you repeat your desire 100 times with feeling, you are literally rearranging the universe because you are rearranging your consciousness, and your consciousness is the universe. Let me give you a practical example. Suppose you desire a particular position in your company. Instead of saying, I want that position or I will get that position, you would declare, I am so grateful to be in my perfect position doing work I love. Repeat this 100 times daily, but, and this is crucial, feel the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the joy of actually occupying that position. As you do this, something remarkable begins to happen. The people around you will begin to respond differently. Opportunities will appear that weren't there before. Circumstances will arrange themselves in ways that support your new reality. This isn't coincidence or magic, it is law. Remember, the outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner convictions. Just as your reflection in a mirror must move as you move, your external reality must shift to match your internal state. This is why persistent repetition with feeling is so powerful. It creates an unshakable conviction in your consciousness. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I tried affirmations before, and they didn't work. The difference here lies in understanding that you are not trying to convince yourself of something. You are instead occupying a state of consciousness where your desire is already fulfilled. The repetition is not to convince, but to saturate your consciousness with the reality of your wish fulfilled. Think of it this way: when you wake up in the morning, you don't need to convince yourself that you are who you are. You simply know it. This is the kind of naturalness you must achieve with your desire. Through repeated occupation of the state of your wish fulfilled, it becomes just as natural as your own name. The universe responds not to your words, but to your state of consciousness. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily with feeling, you are systematically altering your state of consciousness. You are literally becoming the person who has what you desire. This is why the universe must rearrange itself. It is simply conforming to who you have become. Let me share another vital aspect of this practice. As you repeat your desire, you must exclude all contrary evidence from your physical senses. If your bank account shows lack, while you are declaring abundance, you must remain faithful to your inner conviction rather than the external fact. The external will change, it must change, but only after you have firmly established the new reality in your consciousness. This requires a level of mental discipline that few are willing to exercise. It is easy to accept what your senses show you. It takes spiritual maturity to remain faithful to your inner conviction despite contrary evidence. But this is precisely what separates those who manifest their desires from those who remain trapped in their current circumstances. Remember, every time you repeat your desire with feeling, you are dropping a seed into the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Just as a farmer doesn't dig up his seeds every day to check their progress, you must not constantly check the external world for evidence of your manifestation. Plant your seed through repetition, water it with feeling, and trust in the law. The law operates with mathematical precision. Just as 2 + 2 must equal 4, your consciousness made conceit through repetition must produce its equivalent in your outer world. This is not theory, this is law. I have tested it countless times in my own life and in the lives of thousands who have applied these principles. Consider this profound truth. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in the outer world is simply consciousness objectified. When you understand this, you realize that by changing your consciousness through persistent repetition of your desire, you are literally changing the only reality there is. This is why the universe must rearrange itself. It has no choice. It is not separate from you. It is you pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every event in your world is simply your consciousness made visible. Change your consciousness through this practice of repetition with feeling, and you change everything. Now, let me address a question that often arises: how long must I continue this practice? The answer is, until your desire feels natural. Until it feels more real to you than the current facts of your life. For some, this might happen quickly. For others, it might take longer. The time required depends on your ability to remain faithful to your inner conviction. Remember, time is a human construct. In the realm of consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no time. There is only the intensity of your conviction. This is why some desires manifest quickly while others take longer. The speed of manifestation is directly proportional to the completeness of your acceptance of your desire as fact. This is where the power of repeating your desire 100 times daily becomes evident. Each repetition, when done with feeling, deepens your conviction. It strengthens your acceptance of your desire as fact. It makes your new reality more and more natural to you until it becomes impossible for you to accept anything less. Let me share another crucial aspect of this practice. As you repeat your desire, you must also repeat the feeling of gratitude for its fulfillment. Gratitude is not merely a positive emotion, it is the acceptance of something as yours. When you feel grateful for something, you are acknowledging its presence in your life. This is why I often teach that the feeling of gratitude is one of the highest spiritual frequencies you can maintain. When you combine your repetition with genuine gratitude, you are not only declaring your desire as fact, you are accepting it as already yours. This combination is unbeatable in its manifestational power. Now let's address another vital point. As you practice this technique, you must guard your mental diet with the same care that you would guard your physical diet if you were training for an athletic event. Every thought that crosses your mind either supports or contradicts your desire. This is why the repetition must be consistent and why it must be done 100 times. The number 100 creates a momentum in your consciousness that helps override contrary thoughts and feelings. It builds a foundation of conviction so strong that casual negative thoughts cannot shake it. This is the power of persistence in consciousness. Consider how a river creates a canyon. It's not through occasional powerful surges, but through constant, persistent flow. This is how you must approach your practice. Each repetition is like a drop of water, seemingly insignificant on its own, but powerful enough to reshape reality when applied consistently. Your consciousness is like a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds you plant in it. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily with feeling, you are planting and nurturing the seeds of your future reality. Just as a garden doesn't spring up overnight, your manifestation may not appear instantly. But if you remain faithful to your practice, it must appear. This brings us to another crucial understanding. The law works with perfect precision, but it works according to its own timing. Your role is not to determine when or how your desire will manifest. Your role is simply to persist in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled through faithful repetition. Many fail in their manifestations because they try to dictate the how and when of their desire's fulfillment. This is a mistake. The how and when belong to the law. Your task is simply to persist in your new state of consciousness through regular, feeling-based repetition of your desire. Remember, the universe knows far more than your conscious mind about how to bring about your desire. It has access to infinite possibilities, infinite channels through which your good can come to you. By trying to dictate the how and when, you actually limit the channels through which your desire can manifest. This is why I emphasize feeling over forcing. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily with genuine feeling, you are allowing the infinite intelligence of the universe to arrange the perfect circumstances for your manifestation. You are surrendering the how and when while maintaining absolute faith in the what. Let me share something profound about this practice that few understand. When you repeat your desire with feeling, you are actually experiencing your future in the present moment. You are collapsing time. You are bringing the future into the now. This is why the universe must rearrange itself. You are creating a new pattern in the space-time itself. If you think about this every moment of your life, you are in a particular state of consciousness. This state is made up of your beliefs, assumptions, and feelings about yourself and your world. When you deliberately enter and maintain a new state through conscious repetition of your desire, you are literally stepping into a new dimension of experience. This is not metaphorical, it is literal. Your consciousness is the substance of reality itself. When you change your consciousness through persistent repetition with feeling, you are literally rearranging the substance from which all things are made. This is why results must follow. It is law. Now, let me address something that often confuses people about this practice. Some believe that merely repeating words 100 times will bring about their desire. This is not the case. The words are simply tools to help you maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is the feeling that creates the reality. If you think of it this way, when you are in love, you don't need to convince yourself that you're in love. You simply feel it. This is the kind of naturalness you must achieve with your desire. The repetition is designed to help you maintain this feeling consistently until it becomes your dominant state of consciousness. This is why I emphasize that each repetition must be accompanied by feeling. Without feeling, words are empty shells. But when you combine repetition with genuine feeling, you are engaging the creative power of the universe itself. You are literally speaking your new reality into existence. Consider the biblical phrase, "In the beginning was the Word." This refers not to mere verbal expression, but to the creative power of consciousness itself. When you repeat your desire 100 times with feeling, you are engaging this same creative power. You are speaking your world into existence. This brings us to another crucial point: the importance of persistence. Some of you might begin this practice with enthusiasm, but abandon it when results don't appear immediately. This is a grave mistake. Remember, you are reprogramming your entire consciousness. This takes persistence and patience. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, it feels awkward and unnatural, but with persistent practice, it becomes second nature. The same is true with this practice. At first, your new state of consciousness might feel forced or fake, but with persistent repetition, it becomes your natural state of being. This is why the number 100 is so powerful. It represents complete dedication to your new state of consciousness. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily, you are declaring to the universe that you are absolutely committed to your new reality. This level of commitment always brings results. Remember, the universe is not testing you. It is simply responding to your consciousness with mathematical precision. When you maintain a consistent state of consciousness through persistent repetition with feeling, the universe has no choice but to reflect that consciousness back to you in physical form. Let me share another vital truth about this practice. As you repeat your desire, you must also be willing to let go of your old self-concept. You cannot hold on to who you were and simultaneously become who you desire to be. This is why the repetition must be accompanied by a willingness to change. Many of you hold on to your old stories, your old limitations, while trying to create something new. This is like trying to fill a cup that's already full. You must be willing to empty your cup, to let go of your old self-concept, to make room for your new reality. This is where the power of 100 repetitions becomes especially significant. Each repetition is like a chisel, slowly but surely reshaping your self-concept. With persistence, your new self-concept becomes more real to you than your old limitations. Consider this: every great achievement in human history began with a change in consciousness. The Wright brothers had to believe in the possibility of human flight before they could manifest it. Edison had to maintain the consciousness of success through thousands of failed attempts before manifesting the light bulb. Your desire, whatever it may be, follows the same law. Through persistent repetition with feeling, you are creating the consciousness of your desire fulfilled. And just as surely as the Wright brothers and Edison succeeded, your desire must manifest when you maintain the proper state of consciousness. This brings us to another crucial understanding: the importance of maintaining your new state of consciousness even when your senses deny it. This is where most people fail. They allow current circumstances to pull them out of their desired state of consciousness. Remember, your senses show you the world as it was, not as it will be. They show you the effects of your past thoughts and feelings, not the reality you are creating through current practice. This is why you must persist in your new state, regardless of appearance. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily with feeling, you are creating a new cause. The effect must follow, it is law. But you must give the law time to work. You must maintain your faith in the unseen reality you are creating through your consciousness. Think of it like planting a garden. You don't plant seeds one day and dig them up the next to see if they're growing. You trust in the law of growth. You know that if you've planted the seeds and provided the proper conditions, growth must occur. The same is true with your desire. Each repetition of your desire with feeling is like watering and nurturing your seed. You don't need to know how it will grow. You don't need to figure out the process. Your only task is to maintain the proper mental and emotional state through persistent repetition. This brings us to another vital truth: the importance of living from your desire rather than for it. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily with feeling, you are not trying to get something. You are acknowledging what is already yours in consciousness. This is a subtle but crucial distinction. Most people practice manifestation techniques from a state of wanting or needing. This actually pushes their desire away, because want and needing imply lack. When you live from your desire, when you repeat it as an accomplished fact, you are creating from a state of fulfillment. Consider this: when you have something, you don't spend time wanting it or figuring out how to get it. You simply enjoy having it. This is the state of consciousness you must achieve through your repetition practice. You must repeat your desire from a state of having, not wanting. This is why feeling is so crucial to this practice. When you combine repetition with the feeling of fulfillment, you are creating a new pattern in the universal substance. The feeling makes it real in consciousness, and what is real in consciousness must become real in experience. Let me tell you something profound about this practice that few truly understand. When you repeat your desire 100 times daily, you are actually engaged in a sacred ritual. You are performing what the ancients called true prayer. Prayer is not begging or pleading, it is the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Each repetition, when done with feeling, is like a drop of water filling the cup of your consciousness. When the cup is full, when your consciousness is saturated with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, manifestation must follow. This is not magic, this is law. Consider how a mother feels about her child. She doesn't need to convince herself of her love. She doesn't need to repeat affirmations about being a mother. She simply is a mother. And this state of consciousness creates her experience of motherhood. This is the kind of naturalness you must achieve with your desire. Through 100 daily repetitions with feeling, you are becoming the person who already has what you desire. You are not trying to get something. You are acknowledging what is already yours in the reality of consciousness. Remember this vital truth: the external world has no power to prevent your desire from manifesting when you maintain the proper state of consciousness. Your circumstances, no matter how challenging they may appear, are simply shadows of past thinking. They have no power except that which you give them through your attention. When you consistently repeat your desire 100 times daily with feeling, you are withdrawing power from your current circumstances and investing it in your new reality. You are literally shifting the balance of power in your consciousness. This is why persistence is so crucial. Each repetition builds momentum in your consciousness. Each feeling-filled declaration of your desire, as fact, moves you closer to the point where your new reality must externalize itself. Think of it like learning to play a musical instrument. At first, it feels awkward and unnatural. But with persistent practice, it becomes second nature. The same is true with this practice. At first, your new state of consciousness might feel forced. But with faithful repetition, it becomes your natural state of being. Let me share one final truth about this practice. The power lies not in the words themselves, but in the state of consciousness they help you achieve and maintain. The words are like a ladder helping you reach a higher level of consciousness. Once you reach that level, you must live there. This is why I say to repeat your desire 100 times daily. This repetition helps you maintain your new state of consciousness until it becomes your natural state of being. And when this happens, when your desired state becomes your natural state, the universe has no choice but to conform to your consciousness. Remember, you are not trying to convince the universe to give you something. You are declaring what is already yours in consciousness. Through persistent repetition with feeling, you are making your desire so real in consciousness that it must manifest in experience. This is the law of consciousness, and it never fails. What you accept as true in consciousness must manifest in your world. This is why the universe rearranges itself to accommodate your picture of reality, because your consciousness is reality. Practice this technique faithfully. Repeat your desire 100 times daily with genuine feeling. Live from the state of your wish fulfilled. Do this and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your new state of consciousness. For this is the law, and the law never fails.